even mean? Waiting for an encoding server to claim placeholder video. I don't know what that means. No clue. Oh. Oh, is it working? Hello. I don't know if this is working. I am using Rumble Studio, everybody. I usually just go straight to... Oh man, it's live. Okay. Yeah, I usually go straight to YouTube. And so now I am trying to do a multicast. I don't know, because usually I talk to people on YouTube. That's where you all know me. And so that's who I would be expecting to talk to right now. I don't know if it's really connected. You know, we shall see. We shall see. So please chat with me. Let me know where, if you're here. Let me know. I usually come on with something to talk about. I literally have nothing. I have been sick on and off for like a month, just with like a head cold, like a sinus thing. And then my nephew, one of them was visiting last week and had pneumonia and RSV, and the other nephew, who is here every single day, got sick this last week. And now all the adults, because he's here every day, we babysit, and yeah, all the adults are feeling it. So this has been a rough month. So mostly the people who would be talking to me right now would be people on YouTube, but I don't even know if this is connected to YouTube. That's like a weird thing. So usually I come on with a topic. I did try also to connect to Twitter today. So again, I really don't even know how this works, and so it does say live chat is available. I really wish I could go somewhere and actually see if like my YouTube is attached. I really don't know how the system works, but that's why this is called a test stream. I am testing my multi stream right now. So I see like some people seem to be like creeping over here on Rumble. It shows like 2 people. Actually, it says 4 people. I don't know who you are. So hi. Hi. If you are here, it does show a live chat here. I was hoping that this would be a better setup. I haven't even messed around with it. I don't know. I figured if I come on late enough, then I could do this and do a test and just see if anything is actually working. It does show now that there's like someone on YouTube, 2 people on Rumble, and then like I guess the difference, because there's a total of 5 people. This is exciting. So 5 people are watching me, trying to figure out if someone is watching me. So I wonder if that's like a real thing. Anyway, it does show like live chats, and it says that I will see chats from everybody. I've never used this studio setup, so chat with me. Let me know. And if you can't chat with me, then I guess you can't let me know. So I guess there we are. We are at an impasse, everybody. I did start after 10 years. Maybe less than 10 years. I can't remember, but at least probably since like 2019. 2018. I haven't done anything on Twitter, so I started posting this week just clips from live. So a live like this, but usually I come on with a topic. This really was just to test and see if anything is working. I don't know how long I'll stay. I usually can talk a lot without any help, so I am able to do that. But I honestly, I've been sitting here trying to set this up. I have no topic. I am just feeling rough. I'm not feeling well. What I did see everyone is talking about is the Spider-Man. So I'm really hoping that does well. I've been having issues with a lot of the things in Hollywood. What I've heard of Spider-Man, this is not going to be spoilers, but what I've heard is mostly stuff that I don't think I would like about it. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. It seems like there's a little too much love stuff and romance stuff, and that's just like not my thing, and I would be really bored with that. And I don't really like action. That's stressful. So everything about this movie, unless someone forces me to go, I don't think I will be going. But everything about this movie does make me feel like this is one of the better movies, at least what it seems like, least political type of movies that we've had in a while, from a major studio, even though it does sound like it's trying to really promote the next thing, which we do see that in Hollywood a lot. They're doing this where it's like, this really is a huge promotional movie to just promote our next movie, and then the next movie is just going to promote the next movie, and that's all they're doing, using a bunch of IPs, putting all these different people together, superheroes together, instead of focusing just because they want more draw. But I don't know. I feel like Spider-Man, if I was looking at men and what I see when they have the memorabilia, when I see them with the shirts and stuff, I always see Spider-Man and Batman. So I feel like you don't probably need a whole lot of other people around, but what I'm hearing is still good things, and I'm happy about that. I was very unhappy with the Odyssey. Anyone following me might know that. So I was definitely not pleased with the what they were doing with that. But it is the most of Hollywood. So mostly what I do is I'll watch something like a streamer. I definitely don't pay for the theater tickets. It's very rare. But I also think that's a female thing. There are women who go to the movies. I have videos about this, but I don't think women in general are theater people unless you're maybe going on a date or something, or you want to go with your girlfriends. And I really think the thing about the theater for women in general seems to be they want to have a group event, right? So it's just a way to get together, look cute, take pictures, and it's something to do. But 2 hours or 3 hours now, every movie is way too long. And sitting in a room, I just don't even know, attention span wise, if women can handle that anymore. I feel like as far as most people go, I do think that women are being most affected by this attention issue, the algorithm, the shifting. I think women tend to use the TikTok. I sound like an old geezer. I don't use the TikTok. I don't. I've tried to post a few things, but I can't do that. I talk too much. I can't be concise. And that whole 1 minute video, even when on Twitter I've been trying to poll. So what I do is I try to come and do lives, and I usually have a topic or something, and I talk to you guys if you guys actually chat with me, and I do that, and then I try to cut those up, and that's how I'm trying to do this. Is just a hobby, so that is my general goal with this. And then on Twitter I was trying to it's X, I'm sorry. It's been a while. I haven't been on it since it's changed, so this is my first week back on X since it was Twitter. But I've been trying to grab these, so I'll do a 3-hour live, and then I'm trying to create a 2-minute whatever clip to post on X. So it's been a process, but this is just a hobby. So I am gonna be looking around here. I do have YouTube up. I don't know if it'll show me if anyone's actually watching. I don't know if I can tell here. Again, no one's been chatting with me on the Rumble Studio, so I don't know if that's because my settings aren't there or working. It does seem like it's live. Oh, it is live. Okay, it's on YouTube. It does show live. There we go. Okay, so there's like two people from there, and you're probably not my regulars. I didn't tell anyone about this. I probably should have. This, hindsight. I should have told people I was gonna try this, so at least I would have the people that usually come. Usually there's like a handful of people, which is good, because if you do comment, I tend to go off. One comment can last for a long time with one comment. So I really should have told people about this. So I honestly don't know exactly how long this is going to be. This was mainly a test. It says I've been live for 10 minutes. This has been a rough 10 minutes, guys. I don't know if it's working. I can usually talk to myself. I just wish I had a topic. Let me look at my YouTube. Let me look over here and see if there's something that everything I see right now is Metatron's been doing. I don't know if you guys have been watching Metatron, but he's been still doing his Odyssey takedown, his the Christopher Nolan. He promised that he would do one for as many people there are in Greece. I don't know. He's fun, so I don't know if he's gonna keep going, but he definitely has been doing it for a while, and every day he has a new like hour long, whatever, sometimes 2 hour streams. He went through Matt Walsh's review of the Odyssey, and he'll react to that. He did one with Max Rogers. It was like a back and forth, but what he was actually saying is that he wants to maybe grab Shad and Brooks and do some sort of historical, like with the armor and stuff discussion. I would love that so much. I really hope they do it. So I have been watching that a lot. But really, like, my brain has been fried from being sick this last week, so I kind of have had stuff on in the background, and everything that I've really been seeing is about the Odyssey numbers, and then now it's about Spider-Man and like all the, I can't even say it. I do not know if it's Spider-Man or Spider-Man. They all make jokes about it, and I don't get it. So, but I did wear a superhero shirt today. It's a Supergal. It's old. I don't know if you could even see that, but I did wear a Supergal. Oh, look, Davis Course. Hi! I recognize you. Hello. I like and prefer the 3-hour long movies, assuming. So this is Davis Course. I don't know, is there a way in Rumble Studio I can actually show this on the screen? Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I should have looked that up. I should have checked. There's probably like a layout that I didn't set up here. So sorry about that. But Davis Course, I like and prefer the 3-hour long movies, assuming it is a good movie with a good plot. These movies feel shorter than they are. Bad movies make 2 hours feel like 10 hours, and it is just painful. I assume you said painful. It says plainful. But yeah, I'm correcting that now in my head. So do you go to the theater then? And what was the last one that you have seen? Did you see the Odyssey? How did you feel about that? You know, I know that you follow me and you've seen my videos, so you know how I feel about it. But I do wonder what you guys feel about it. I know that I watch a lot of like Film Threat and Nerdrotic. I'll watch Critical Drinker, Open Bar. I like the live chats. WDW Pro I've been watching. That's new that I've been watching really recently. And, you know, so all the people, I've been trying to find different spaces. There's Nerd Wars. So there's a few different spaces that I've been really enjoying. But they're all movie people. And I know that that's like a whole different type of people. I know that I'm perpetually online person. My work is online, so that is what I'm engaged in. But when I talk to my family, and this is what I felt was really revealing about the whole thing, when I talk to my family, my mother, my 3 sisters who are adults, you know, some are 10 years younger, almost 10 years younger than me, and then my older sister, is only a few years older than me. So we're all in like an adult age range, and then my niece, who is in her mid-20s. So I have this group of women, and when I went to my niece's birthday party, there was literally, they didn't know what I was talking about. They had not even heard of, obviously they knew of the Odyssey, the poem, but they did not, well, I guess my niece didn't really know about it. So I don't think they read it in school, even for her generation. But they didn't have a clue. They didn't know marketing that would be normal, that would hit normies. And my mom does watch YouTube, so she's like me, and we generally stay on YouTube for a lot of our stuff, but we watch very different things. And so it wasn't like there was anything that was marketed to her. She didn't see any commercials. I think she does ad-free. She might pay for that. I don't. So I get commercials, but I'm a producer and I like to watch commercials. I find that sometimes, even if I'm listening to a radio, if I don't like what they're talking about, I'll just switch, and I don't mind listening to a commercial. I listen to them and I like to hear how they're produced, and I think about like the message that they're trying to do, what they're trying to market, who their demo is, and how well they did, and I like to hear the mix, and so that's a weird thing. And I do that with TV and everything that I watch as well. But I was shocked that they had no clue. I know the other ones do streaming services, I assume, more than like say YouTube. I don't really know. I don't ever like hang out with them while they're just watching their stuff. I assume that they do more streaming type of stuff. They're also parents, you know, mothers, and my older sister is a mother, but her daughter is in her 20s, where, you know, the other ones have the toddlers running around, so I probably don't have a whole lot of free time to watch anything but Blippi. And, you know, I've watched so much Blippi. It's all right though. So, and what I found interesting is because two of them are married, and so my brother-in-laws have like no clue about the Odyssey. They didn't know, but they knew about Spider-Man, and they knew about a few things like Obsession they had heard about. So they're not, and they're movie people. They don't have a whole lot of time. They have to do family type of movies, but they too had not heard about the Odyssey. So the and nor after I talked to asked about it, they're all a little more liberal, a little, a lot more liberal than me. But they're not like extreme. I mean, they're not extreme if you're looking at extreme, but they don't like when I talk about anything conservative. So I just didn't really talk. I just asked if they were going to see it, and they quite literally were like, I don't know what you're talking about. And the guys didn't. I don't know if they never connected with the point. They did not seem like, oh, that's something interesting. I don't know. They're not like super TV guys. One of them is a gamer. He plays games. I couldn't tell you which ones, but he does like to play games in his free time. But he doesn't have a whole lot of free time. But that is one where he does the games where you have the headsets and you're talking. They're group games. There's a name for it. I clearly am not a gamer, but I do enjoy watching people streaming lately with the gamers and stuff. It's interesting. I really enjoy watching people who have really deep interest in something and hearing what they have to say about it. And so that's what I've actually been doing this last week while I've been recovering. Again, it feels like it's a nonstop. If you have children, small children, especially that go to daycare or do anything. My nephew doesn't go to daycare, this one, but the other one does, and he gets sick like every week. But I feel like this is something I've learned as an aunt who babysits every day. This is something that you get sick like nonstop. It's like I don't know how teachers do it, how they live life and feel bad every day with some sort of cold or something. It's consistent. Davis Course also says, no, I did not and will not see the new Odyssey. There is an Odyssey that came out in the 90s, I believe, that is actually pretty good. It also depends on what translation on the book you make your script. I mean, it's very valid. And Adam Bailey, hi Adam, hello. That's so odd to see. I wonder, did you also not see the Odyssey? So I don't think a lot of normal people, like I don't know anyone out of this group of adults that seem like normal adults who aren't like me online or watching all the people talking about. I loved watching people talk about movies, entertainment, stuff that I would love to talk to people about if I had someone around me. But obviously, as you know, that's just like 7 people that I was trying to talk about the thing that everyone was talking about, but no, not everyone was talking about it. Shocked. I was flummoxed. But, it's one of those where they say Twitter's not the real, or X is not the real world, or YouTube's not I mean, it's people online, so it is real world, but it's just people, a different type of people. And yeah, so that was my experience. That's why I'm usually watching the people who are geeking out about this stuff, but I find it really interesting. I would love to have people to talk about that sort of thing, but I cannot talk about the Odyssey as a person who saw it. I can only talk about the Odyssey as a person who decided absolutely not to see it because it looked like absolute crap. It looked like something that would anger me for multiple reasons. I think I've told you many times I don't like subverting the source material. I understand that there's going to be, in your interpretation, differences, and I absolutely understand that, and I'm okay with that. And also like Davis Course was saying about the translations and those things, I understand that concept, especially with very classic literature that has been translated, and the transliterations and things. So depending on how they did, some translations, some transliterations, but some are just made up. I don't know, they just use some of the names, and some are complete like subversions, so I wouldn't call them a translation. It's just a different story because you didn't like the original story. But if you actually try to reflect the source material, and you maybe add something that I do understand when you're in movies and you're trying to connect something, you're gonna have to make a few adjustments and compromises and things, and I respect that. So I'm not just like a purist in that way, because I understand it's complicated to produce things. But subversion of any source material is just destroying it, and I'm not on that bandwagon. I don't like it. I don't think it's creative. It's just make your own story then. Like, what are you talking? Like, just stop subverting. But they want to teach you that it's okay to break down anything, call it your own, and like that. It's not really the thing. Like, even the Odyssey. Well, the Odyssey seemed like it was really against every hero's journey, like the Western culture of like how we tell stories and what we believe. And yeah, it did feel like it was subverting that, from what I was seeing and everyone talking about it. Again, the marketing wise was what got me. I don't want to be marketed to in some sort of political platform. Like, I don't have time for this. I watched Barbie. Really not well prepared for that. I should have known when I unplugged it this would happen. Okay, I'm back. Oh my goodness. I injured my finger. That hurt pretty bad. Ow. I've had better days here. Okay, but so we've subverted a disaster. Speaking of subverting things, hi. So that was a squirrel. I don't know where I was talking about. Oh, Barbie. Yeah. I think ever since that, I didn't go to the Barbie theaters because it's like, I didn't feel like dressing like Barbie and being that person. That wasn't for me. I understood the appeal of it to people who like that and who take a lot of pictures, those sort of things. But I did end up streaming Barbie later. Well, I can't do it anymore. People, I refuse. I can't watch just bad movies with stupid messaging and watch it with people around me, my family, who like is just sitting there like, that was so good, like they loved it. And this is why I'm streaming, everybody. I can't deal with the people around me and their this like inability to understand or even acknowledge. It's like, okay, you like it, fine, but acknowledge that was a message. Acknowledge that they were, killing Barbie, that they were killing Ken, that they were killing women. They were pushing, it wasn't just a girl power, it was a girl boss. And there is a difference between girl power, 90s girl power, and girl boss. I guess it's sort of like socialism to communism. It's really the transition phase is now that I've learned. So maybe there's not a difference, but still, the watching, now I have to be against girl power. I have to rethink everything I've watched in the 90s, because this is what happens when you're on that slippery slope. It just keeps going. You're gonna be, I'm gonna mix metaphors. You're snowballing into this bigger issue, and it's never just gonna stay in that thing once you cross that line. And so we crossed that line into allowing feminism into our girls. Girls rule, boys drool, and yeah, that's where now we hate men. Like, this misandrist crap is from that. That's where it happens. And I know some people are upset when I say like women are taught, like I'm not giving them agency, but it is a brainwashing cult. Like, we are brainwashed through everything we watch. We have to watch ourselves as we're watching things. We have to be aware, like, what is the message this wants to give me, no matter if it's good or bad. You think it's like the hero's journey, the original Odyssey would be a great message, but it's still a message, and so you do have to be aware of what the purpose is of that you're watching. I know I posted something recently because Olivia Wilde was, she's going out on a press stuff because she has movies out and new disgusting things happening, and she's saying horrible things. She was on like Louis Theroux or Theroux. I do not know how to say his last name, but I've seen him. I really did enjoy the Scientology movie that he made a while back. It was obviously biased, but it was fun to watch. That was fun to watch, and so I did watch the Manosphere documentary, and that was not fun to watch. It was not even about the Manosphere. It made up stuff, and it just looked at one section, and it didn't actually discuss what any of the issue might be. Like, if you have a problem with the Manosphere, I'm not in the Manosphere, but I understand why it exists, and I understand that people are taking that and manipulating people in different areas, but there's also valid reasons for that. You know, men going their own way is manosphere, but it's not the same as, say, like a black pill manosphere person, or someone who's just completely anti-woman. Like, there are different groups, but men going their own way is a what is that? I don't know what the word is. It is trying to get peace. They're trying to maintain peace, because we're not giving them peace in relationships, in life. We're not allowing people just to live and let live. They have to live exactly how we want them to live. And I'm saying we, like women. But I felt like it was so discounting the millions of men who are dealing with misinjury, who are dealing with horrible, hateful women who hate men. They're not shy about it. And there's systems out there. And the more that I interact with men in these locations, because YouTube and different places, they only show my stuff to men. And when they do show it to women, the women tend to hate it and be very angry. You can check my ex. There's some angry women out there. You know, but these men are telling me things about the legal system and things that have been working against them to such an extreme that it's dangerous for them, for their liability, for their livelihoods, for different parts, like to even engage in a marriage, because of how the legal system is backwards right now. There's no protections, and so while now we're seeing there's limited protections for women, you know, this is where it goes, because they eat their own. They're not over there saying like, oh, like now we're going to be happy. No, whoever's on top, you know, women put themselves on top, and now it's time to tear down women, because it's always the oppressor and the victim, and it's going to nonstop be that, to continue to tear it down, to subvert society until there's nothing left. And they're wanting to do it. They want to create these systems. They want to, I believe that the government does pay, like different cities and things in different countries and around, they're paying for these riots, for these things to happen, to show that everything's falling apart, so that people will start believing that we need to destroy everything and put it back together better. And so, yeah, I'm seeing it, and because I saw it with my upbringing, I do think it's something that we are taught. I was taught the girl boss stuff. I just used as I grew up, like, my brain, and thought, this is getting weird. You know, I'm okay with the whole girl power, but I never liked the girls rule, boys rule, like, don't come in my clubhouse thing. I was always friends with the guys. The girls didn't really like to hang out with me. I never had a whole lot of girl friends growing up. So I guess I was always watching. I didn't play the video games, but all my friends, they were skateboarders and they played video games, and they were all guys. I don't know. And that's like from when I was young, that I just never really had girlfriends. And so maybe that's also why I didn't get the full impact of it. But I'm also a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. Those sort of and she's like a girl power. She's the original girl boss. You didn't realize that was what it was going to turn into, this crazy girl boss. Even the first girl boss of, you know, The Devil Wears Prada to The Devil Wears Prada 2, it's 20 years later, the girl boss is still doing the exact same thing. She has not grown up. The Buffy girl boss, though, actually was a hero. She was a person who sacrificed love and life and her friends, and that's something that's interesting when you see how Peter, you know, Peter Parker is trying to walk away, you know, from Peter Parker life because he has to be Spider-Man, and that's basically what I know from the trailers and different things. And there's other stuff going on from the trailers as well that I'm not going to talk about because I haven't seen the movie. But you're watching those things. That concept of having to sacrifice your life for these things it's the hero. It's part of a lot of heroes' journeys, different things that you sacrifice. But also being a hero is having to make hard choices. You have to make difficult choices. You have to, for the better good of the world. And that's something that I feel like Buffy did teach me. So when I see the girl boss go into self-preservation, for not even real preservation because it's hurting you in the long run, but it's just about me in this exact moment and my emotions, which emotions are volatile, especially if you're a woman. I know this. So you don't go off your emotions. No, it's crazy town. Like you don't. No, like emotion will change very quickly. Especially, I mean, if you watch my streams, you'll see I'll like start crying if I thought. I cry very easily. But, I don't sit there and make big life decisions or make decisions about how I think about the world based on emotions. But I also know that I could have that propensity because, you have compassion and so I need a leader. I need heroes that can make hard decisions that are going to be for the betterment, the good of the larger whole. Does the best good for the longest amount of time for the most amount of people. And there's probably a better way. The most good for the most amount of people for the longest amount of time. Either way, it's the same concept. I don't know if it matters that order logically in a reasoning sense. But that's what we need, and we need leaders, and it tends to be men that can do that, can separate that, can make those hard decisions. This doesn't mean that every man is good. It doesn't mean that all women are bad, but there are differences in us, and I can see there are reasons why women can really pinpoint in a moment. We're very detail oriented in that sense, in that moment, and we can nurture in that sense whatever needs to be nurtured. But we have been taught to be so selfish that we don't even know how to nurture. We don't even know, like, it's self-preservation, but what we've been taught is actually hurting us. And when I say self-preservation, the lesson I was taught when I was younger, even not in Buffy, that wasn't as bad, but through the media especially, was that men would, as you get older, they're going to leave you for a younger woman, and you have to be financially stable. That was the feminist message that was coming to me. I am 42, by the way, so if you're wondering what these years were that I was getting brainwashed into that was something that I was taught. And so when I was younger, it wasn't until maybe my mid-20s that I was like really realizing I really did want to be married, have kids, and do that. I was maybe like 24, so around there but before that, it wasn't that I just didn't like it. I just thought, I figured, just like another brainwashing thing that women have is the rom-coms, which I'm really against now, but we grew up in that age, and so you're just thinking you're gonna do life and it's gonna happen. So it was around 25 that I decided it's not just happening. Like, I have to actually try to meet someone. I'm not just gonna walk in a room and some guy's gonna be like her and he's gonna chase me. Rom-coms have like ruined, like, that's not how love works. That's like a lust thing. That's a temporary thing. And if you're really going your relationships on those like, you're not going to be in long-term relationships. Love is not a feeling. It is not a feeling. It is absolute choice. There's a lot of times where you don't love someone, that your wife or this or your boyfriend, you feel like you don't feel the love for your child who's sitting there, yelling at you and saying they hate you, right? Because you're disciplining them, that you're not feeling loving feelings, but obviously you love them. You definitely don't like people all the time, but there's a choice that you have to constantly make. To love someone is an unconditional thing, and it's not about how they make you feel. It's a choice that you have to make for someone else. It's just how when we're in marriages, like, everyone is being told to get married, and this is the message that women are especially getting, to get married to be happy, and then happy wife, happy life, and those sort of things. Like, it's not to, if you're getting married to be happy, you're doing it wrong. Like, you should be married to serve your husband. You should be married to serve your family, depending on if you're a husband, wife. You should be married to serve that better whole, and you have, in your relationship, you can decide how that works, how you want it to work in that dynamic, but you need to be outward focused. You should not ever hang your hat and your happiness hat on anyone else. You can't do it. But if you're sitting there and you're serving your spouse, then that person should be getting their needs met. That's how it works. And then they're serving you. They're serving their family. And if you look in all of that, you're actually having a choice that you make every day to not think about yourself. It doesn't matter if you're getting what, I mean, obviously this is, I shouldn't have to say this, but I do have to say this because people are going to be like, what about, DA and I'm not promoting bad relationships. This isn't a healthy relationship that you have chosen to put your needs aside and focus on your family, focus on your husband, focus on your children. This is a sacrifice that you make, and it actually helps you be less selfish. And that's how we're supposed to treat society as well. We're not supposed to think about our own needs. We're supposed to think about other people only. We're supposed to die to self. We're supposed to think about only other people and what's the best for everyone else. And that's what you do in a relationship. It's a choice to love. It's not easy, but you have to make that choice every single day. And it actually makes your life better as you start to stop thinking about yourself. And again, you're in a relationship with someone who's also doing these same things, and so you're both getting all your needs met. It's a crazy concept, but you're not doing it for your needs to be met, because your needs are, you're just there. Like, you're not focused on what you need. You're outside of yourself. I really feel like that's the way to do every relationship, not just a marriage, but like friendships and life. If you're in a work environment, it's really about being as selfless as possible. That's at least what I've been doing. And over the last decade, I've been getting better and better and better at it. But my life is infinitely better. Not just like, maybe objectively you're like, hey, how is it maybe you can judge me objectively on what you think is success, but my success is that I have peace and that I'm having decent relationships with people. I don't get triggered by everything. That to me is successful. I have peace in life. I'm happy, and I feel like I have a better purpose, that no matter what thing I actually do, no matter what I'm actually like, if it's work, if it's in my friendships, if it's in a relationship, those things, no matter what, I'm always having the same mindset, and I always know exactly what to do. Like, even if you're like, hey, what am I supposed to do here? You're not like, it's always, you can focus on doing the most good for the most amount of people for the longest amount of time in this situation. And that's how you can approach everything in life. And life does get better. It's really good to help people. I don't know why more people don't do that, but I've gotten a lot of messages, so I don't know if you guys know, but I am seeing a lot of the YouTube messages. I really love YouTube, guys. I wish that YouTube would show my stuff to people generally, no matter how well it does. It doesn't show it even to the subscribers, so I don't know. But that's why I started on X, and I did add to the Rumble in case, the Rumble, yes, I'm that person, just in case something happens. YouTube, I get flagged a lot on YouTube, and they could take down my channel. They could flag me. I could have no access to any of you. So definitely find me on X, and I also have the Rumble Studio. YouTube is generally the place that I will be going to most of the time. Anyway, so I am looking, Adam Bailey, I can watch it in a few months. Exactly. Thank you, Adam. You're talking about the Odyssey, as we were discussing a little earlier, as I was discussing like quite a while ago, actually. Told you I can really go off. So yeah, I think a lot of people have chosen maybe to watch it on stream, and that's where my family decided. My family went to Michael twice. Yeah, at least twice in theaters. So they're willing to go to theaters. They're just not, they don't waste money. So they did not see. It is really cold. I'm going to put my flannel on again. It is, an obvious thing when I told them about it, they still were like, I really don't want to see the Odyssey. So they still had no interest in it. But the streaming, I do, I don't want Hollywood or necessarily Hollywood. I feel like we need culture, okay? We need some sort of collective thing that we're all watching. So whether that's Hollywood, it doesn't have to be. There are still really good things happening. YouTube creators are making movies. We're seeing those things. We're seeing games that are being created. It's probably gonna have to be the indie ones that are doing stuff that are good, that are giving, feminine women again and masculine men, and giving people like what I see the mass audience actually seems to want. That I think we're gonna have to leave Hollywood for. I had hope, because Hollywood has more money, that they could figure this whole thing out, but I do believe that it's so important to have these things, the games, the things that connect the culture together. I'm a woman. I don't watch all the adventure, action stuff. That's not the type of thing that I'm interested in. I really like mysteries. I do watch some horror stuff. I love documentaries. It's like ridiculous. I watch all type. I mean documentaries because it's always biased, but I love watching history stuff. I love researching that, and I like watching the lives and watching different people discuss things. So that's kind of the stuff I tend to watch, but I think even me just being able to relate and watch all these men, which seems to be all the men, talking about, my TV's over here, this is why I keep pointing that way, talking about the movies that they're liking and stuff going out, I feel like there's a collective thing that even just as a woman I can enjoy those conversations, join them and hear and be a part of some bigger community. I feel like that is this divisiveness. It's what the algorithm does. I have this whole last live stream I did was about 3 hours about isolation crisis, which you're seeing some clips come out of that throughout the week. It really takes a long time for me to take a 3-hour live that I do, all this weird train of thought, and put it into a cohesive message. So it takes some time, but I think it's worth it. So I just finished one of those from the last week's isolation crisis. It was woman focused. I tend to go that direction because it's what I'm getting really annoyed with, and so I will be able to rant about it. Women need to step up and talk about this. And anytime we do, I get bombarded with really mean and sometimes threatening messages from women. If you're seeing the messages, those are probably the nice ones, because some of the threatening ones you have to report, but and that just makes me need to talk about it more. So then it's like, oh, she's obsessed with talking about this. I'm not obsessed. I just, if you're gonna attack me like that, this is showing me that I'm not wrong. This is a problem. And how many women do want to get out there and be called really horrible things? If anyone knows me, I don't curse and I don't like to do that. It's fine if you do. I don't care about that. I just mean they're really going at it, just being absolutely horrible, calling me names. I mean, but that tends to be what you do, because you want to divide and you want to conquer and you want to shut people up, and so it's more important for someone like me who is fine with getting women yelling at me and getting canceled and whatever. You just have to make a sacrifice and talk about it, because someone needs to talk about it. Someone needs to know. I know there are girls out there that are feeling this is weird, and they don't know that other people say, yeah, you're right, this is not appropriate behavior for women. We need to care about humans. We need to care about the society that we live in. They call it suicidal empathy. That's stupid. That's not what I don't even agree with that. I don't think there's any empathy in it. It's not empathetic. I mean, I guess maybe because you add that whole phrase, it means something completely different, and so maybe it's just like a play on words at this point, but it's there's no empathy in modern women. But there are many women who do have that, who have compassion, but I do believe that we're being bullied, we're being treated really poorly, and a lot of people don't want to be put in that place. So here I am trying, and I'm not the best speaker, and I'm aware of that. I'm not a host. This is a hobby. I produce for other people who are talented, who speak, who know what they're doing, and who that. I enjoy that, and that's what I do. I don't usually. I've spent 20 years in the business being behind the scenes. I don't like being in front of the scenes, but it's just you have to. I don't even. You just have to at this point. If you have a thought that is different, that is not destroying our world, the entire world, then yeah, we're gonna have to say it. We're gonna have to get up and not be lazy or not be scared and actually talk about it. Thank you. Hi, Max. Hi. I saw you a while ago, but I was on a train of thought, and I think that's when my thing. My power charger, I needed that whole debacle. So yes, and I did get back onto the Barbie train, but thank you. I think I forget who said it. I think Neb, who isn't here right now, but he told me, he was like, yeah, the key to engaging with my chat is basically figuring out, predicting what I'm going to be talking about in 30 minutes. messaging about that because that's how it rolls. But that's why I like these to be smaller groups of people. Right now there's 30, 40 people in here or something. So that's a small group, and I can handle it. There's only a few people chatting, and that's useful because as you can see when you chat, it just really goes into this really long tangent. And this is why I don't do other social media. Well, there's a lot of reasons I don't do other social media. I hate the apps. I hate Instagram. I hate TikTok. I hate TikTok so much. I can't do it. X, I've always enjoyed the Twitter. Back when it was Twitter, I had left it because I just don't do social media. So I didn't do social media for like a decade, and then I started doing YouTube because I was like, the reason why I can't do a 140 character thing is I have a lot to say, and I don't have the best way to concisely. Until you practice, you're not going to learn how to speak concisely. So, and I don't know if that will ever be the way that I work. My brain has a lot of stuff all the time happening in it. So Adam, let's see. Sorry, Max, you paused right at Barbie. Davis Course, I want to say this for example is the movie Troy. A good portrayal of the Iliad? Absolutely not. But is Troy a good movie? Yes. That's a good point. A lot of times, you do have to decide, and sometimes if it's a good movie, that is good. I know with the Odyssey, one thing that they were talking about, which I know that Christopher Nolan is not great with audio, is what I've heard. I'm not a man, and I don't watch most of his movies. The ones I have watched, I'm like, they're not for me. I'm not the audience. But apparently he has like an issue with being able to mix his audio appropriately, and I relate because I tend to really want, when I do mixing of stuff, I have like one video where I have a few videos like profitable creator video, and it was a concept piece for something, a project and a client, and I did this like animation kind of stuff and mixed music, and I was using voiceover like AI type of stuff, and it was a concept piece, and that I have music mixed in, and I have to like give it to my sister or something, and she listens. She's like, you gotta turn down the music, because I tend to like the music really loud and you can't really hear what's happening with the so I relate. So anytime I'm like, oh, this sounds great, I have an empathy bubble. The AI empathy bubble crash. I did a little documentary, a little tiny little video essay about that, and that ended up, I did mixing with that. I did some music in there. I don't usually do music in it, but anytime that I'm like, oh, this sounds great, I then turn the music down because I know if it sounds good to me, it's still probably way too loud for other people. So I do understand that, but one thing is, because he chose the IMAX cameras to use, they're apparently so loud. So of course, it's like when you're choosing this medium, you are sacrificing this other thing, but it didn't seem like they had a way to maybe grab the audio, and I don't know how, but it seems to me that some of the audio issues from this, because the original audio that was captured, and I think this might be Nolan's issue, I don't know this for a fact, but he doesn't set up some special audio. He doesn't have special backup. He doesn't do a lot to make sure his audio is as clean as possible. So probably what you got was some bad IMAX noise in the audio. You know what I mean? Like, so that's my assumption when I'm hearing that this audio was so bad. And probably with other movies, he's very visual, and the audio, maybe he has some hearing issues, or he just doesn't care about that immersiveness. I am a personal thing. I like needle drops a lot. I'm a woman. I think women do enjoy that, which is probably why Supergirl had so many. Too bad women didn't go watch Supergirl, but I mean, no one did. But I like the needle drop stuff. I think that is more of a woman enjoyment thing. We like the pop culture references. We like the stuff added into there. I complain about women, but I do have these tendencies, so I can understand that. But I do think that is probably one of the issues with the audio there. But I can also see, like, if it were, besides the audio, if it were a good, entertaining movie that didn't have any political messaging or some weird thing to, destroy any civilization, then, that might be a positive thing. So I find if something does have a message in it, I personally can't enjoy it. I just can't do it. Some people don't have that issue. but obviously Troy was not a good example of the Iliad. But I remember, I think I liked it because it, Brad Pitt, I think he was Achilles, right? And then that woman, Diane Kruger, was that her name? She was Helen of Troy, and she's very beautiful. And I think as a woman, I like to see beautiful women on screen. I like to see that aspiration. Like, I don't look like her, but I can enjoy beautiful women. I think that's a nice thing, I don't want to see normal looking people on my TV. I mean, I can do it on YouTube or something. We all look normal, but you know what I mean? If I'm sitting here paying money for my movie, I want to be in submerged in this world of like this beautiful people and beautiful imagery. Like, I'm not there to watch my neighbor Kathy, and her husband, Bob, like, get along. Like, I want to watch something different, something bigger, something more beautiful than me. That's enjoyable for me. I don't think a lot of people are feeling, or at least women, I feel like they maybe feel bad about themselves, but that I do think is society. Like, we tend to compare ourselves. It's impossible not to. It's impossible not to look at someone and be like, yeah, I don't look like that. Well, must be nice. Like, there is that, but the envy and the jealousy of it, I think, is at such a high point because of the lack of happiness, because of the lack of fulfillment, because what we're teaching women is to isolate themselves, to hate all men, to hate anything that could, help them find fulfillment in life outside of themselves, and then they're just stuck in their own heads, and it's not always fun to be in there. So we need to outward focus, ladies. Focus outward, okay? So let's see. Adam Bailey, I used to be a part of a movie chat Facebook group, but got banned because I pushed back about Barbie and the whole patriarchy thing after the film started streaming. Adam, I love that you got banned from a movie group for talking about Barbie. That's awesome. But it wasn't like subtle. Okay, there was the final monologue. Now, I'm not going to say it wasn't well produced. It wasn't a beautiful movie to watch in a lot of ways, so I did enjoy visually that, and I thought the audio was decent as well. I only streamed it, so I didn't watch it in theaters. So I didn't have any issues with that. But and even like the music and stuff, there were, okay, I got some of the stuff. I'm not like big on that, but that is what it is. I can enjoy some musical stuff and things, like when you go a little cheeky and whatever, but I didn't really like the songs, and obviously there were like a lot of Ken things that I was really didn't enjoy. But that last monologue, I can say that if you're just listening, you can be like, that's emotional. Yeah, I can understand there is, because it's talking about all the expectations on women. You got to do this, you got to do this. Yeah, I see it everywhere. I do see GLP-1s. I get those ads all the time. It's like, oh, I'm not skinny enough now. I'm like 103 pounds. I'm okay with that. But then you're seeing like, oh, you got to do the skin thing. Oh, now you're old, and look at all these celebrities, and they tell you all these. So you do hear it, and it's easy to compare yourself to those things, or to like want to always try to be better and better and better and better. So I do understand that, or to have like all these expectations. But what I did notice about that, even though you can see the emotion, you can respect a woman who's really feeling that stuff, what I was noticing is like, it's that whole like, how does she do it all? That whole book. I think they made it into a movie at one point. And she doesn't, is the thing. It's the whole, because what you're taught is that you can do everything. You can have your job, you can have your family, you can do this, and you can make as much focused time on everything that you want. You can have your friends at the same time. You can have and that's just not how life works. You have to make sacrifices and compromises on things. And I think what I got from that final monologue in Barbie was a lot of women are putting all these expectations, and they're not compromising anything, and that's just not how life works. It's not how it works. But I can also understand that you have those feelings, but at the same time, it really acted like men have not the same issues, but like with different pressures. It was acting like it's some like only women thing. Like it's not only you, ladies. Life is rough. Life is hard. There's a lot of expectations, a lot of things, especially in our world. We have AI now, so now you can do more. AI is not making us efficient so that we have more free time. No, AI is making it so we have more time to work, more time to do more things. Like, we need to stop adding to our plates. We need to just deal with the stuff that we're dealing with. But to do that, and that's a big issue I had also with that final monologue is like, not only is it trying to tell you, okay, if you weren't sure what you were supposed to think, this is what you're supposed to think, which it sounds like the Odyssey did that as well. Apparently they have to wrap stuff up just so you know exactly what you need to leave here thinking. But it discounts the fact that there are people in life that are dealing with this stuff that are not just women, and it baffles me that they're so close-minded and so unempathetic and so like have lack of compassion that they cannot see that men have struggles and have things as well. Like, men aren't just like set in life, and especially now, and to not see, like, you have been saying that we need to tear men down, that women need equality, we need all this stuff for how many decades now? In 60s and 70s, right? The women's liberation and men's liberation started, I believe, in the 60s and 70s to really, I mean, obviously it was happening a long time, but there was like the men's liberation movement that started simultaneously with the women's liberation movement, because both were feeling issues and only one of them kept going. They still kept going with the men's, but only one of them was treated as valid. And we've been doing this for now 20, 30, 40 years. You know, like, for me, it's been like the 20 years that I've really been noticing it. Crazy noticing it. Change the story, change your narrative. Because you can't continue to change everything about society, everything about the legal system, everything in the victim's favor, everything in a woman's favor, everything in some minority favor, and keep thinking that you're the oppressed. Like, that's not logical. But then it's like, you can't talk logic to people who just aren't willing to hear it. And also, Chesterton's fence, to really be able to tear down some of the brainwashing, some of this illogical, this hypocrisy, you'd really have to understand why it's there in the first place, which is why I do my videos. I try to express, as what I've felt as a woman, things that I have built up over time that I have to fight against, societally wise and personally wise. I get that. So you cannot start to tear down, and this is what a lot of women have done, is try to tear down institutions, add different things without understanding why they were there in the first place, and everything's gone to crap. Meritocracy was there for a reason. Sure, there was nepotism. Sure, there were problems with it. Was a rigged meritocracy, but meritocracy in itself is not a bad thing. It's actually how you get women who are capable. And right now, we've spent 20 years minimizing that, and now we have a lot of women who are not capable, at least in power, that aren't capable. They were just put there. You have to gain knowledge over time, and it's generally speaking, men tend to have a better ability to cut out the noise and make hard decisions that need to be made for the betterment. Again, the most good for the most amount of people for the largest amount of time. You really have to think about your society as a whole. You can't just think about this one spot. And a lot of women got thrown into there without thinking, oh, why is this system in place? It's just like when you go into a job and you see these youngins and they're just coming in saying, this is everything that's wrong with your system. Yeah, well, you didn't build this business. Maybe you don't know why things are that way, and maybe there is a lot of stuff wrong with the system, but until you actually come in and work with the system, you have no right to say that. Like, work up, get to a higher management point, and then start changing things. Show your worth, but show that you're there not to just destroy a system so it looks like what you think it should look like right now. You have to understand why the walls are there. And like I've said plenty of times, sometimes there are structural walls. Sometimes the boundaries are there to keep structure in a society. Sometimes rules are there to help everyone be able to live in harmony. That is why rules are there and needed in a society that is going to function. And it can't just be rules that only work or that only work for one group of people and that are only helpful to one group of people. That's not how society works. And when you speak like that and you continue to teach people like that, I just don't even know. The lack of intelligence that is out there right now is insane. Part of it is AI. Part of it is our educational system. We are teaching people to be dumber. And that is on purpose. Watch Chase Hughes if you want anyone who has a lot of input on this and has done a lot of research. He's a good expert. He's a behavioral expert, and he's worked in a lot of different situations. Has several books out there. He has some really good things to say, better than me, about this. But Adam, I think that's hilarious. And then Adam also says, I'm here and would be considered MGTOW. Obviously, I don't hate women. Thank you, Adam. And yes, you've been here for a while. Thank you for your continued support. And I do appreciate you. And I'm glad that you don't hate women. And I definitely understand the needing your peace and needing to continue your life and not be pulled into some of this craziness. A lot of times it's just you check out, because why is that helpful, right? And that's what men are saying. It's just like, I don't have the time or energy, and my life has been better. Unfortunately, a lot of these men, it wasn't that they've told me, okay, so this is not me just speaking for them, that it's not necessarily they wanted to just go their own way, it was because of the situations, because of the people, because of the women that they're dealing with. They cannot live in a constant state of that sort of stress. Like, that's not, and men are very resilient, but they're also intelligent, and a lot of, they're not going to just continue to be in that situation. Women tend to stay in situations a lot longer, I think, than men. That they shouldn't be in. And I feel like that's what we're reaching with a lot of women in this cult mindset that we're seeing right now, and this liberal mindsets. I feel like a lot of them, it's that sunk cost fallacy thing, that you just put all the stuff in there and the Chesterton fence, and it's probably helping some walls, and instead of dealing with your trauma, whatever, I hate that word, but instead of dealing with whatever you're dealing with, because everyone has it, I have it, everyone has it, you have to deal, you have to work through it. You don't just put it back in a corner. That's not the healthy way to move forward with life and to be able to deal with certain situations. You're just not going to be resilient if you never learn resilience. Like, you do have to have friction to get stronger. Muscles do not get built by when you stop. Like, I think you have to go past where it hurts, that's when your muscles start building. Otherwise, you're just sort of maintaining. But to actually build the muscle, you've got to get bigger resistance. You've got to keep going when it starts hurting. And again, I'm not a fitness person, but to that point, I have to do more reps when I do my workouts videos, when I watch them, and I'm doing my strength training and stuff. It's always this is when you're actually building the muscle now. These are the reps that are actually helping you at this moment. You got to do a few more. You got to keep going, because that's when you're actually building the strength. And that's what a lot of people don't go past the resistance spot, especially women. And in our society, we try to be comfortable and but a lot of times you have to be at a point of just absolute discomfort until you're going to make a change. That's the change formula. It's the amount of comfort or discomfort has to exceed the amount of discomfort that would happen if you made that change. Because if you're going to make a change, that's going to cause discomfort. Your pain threshold, it has to be really high right here of this situation sucks that much before you're really going to go through all the comfort of changing. That's a part of Chesterton fence as well. So I don't know. I've been doing a lot of research for this, the trap and the escape concept that I've been working on. It's a lot of research. I have 16 or 17. I'm talking about Brandolini theory, the Chesterton fence. I have a few things that I have it all over here. But I'm talking about the disgust theory, political disgust spectrum. There's 16 different theories that have been thrown out there over lots of generations, and I'm putting them all together into a concept of all these connected pieces that is how we're being dealt with, how we're being trained, and how we can now stop being manipulated and start helping ourselves and other people out of these traps that we're kind of coming into right now, or that we're stuck in. And then Max Wilson says, I think women mostly watch Netflix and TV. YouTube is a male-dominated platform. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know, guys. I am a woman. But I'm always on YouTube. Like, that's my space. So, and that's like where all the guys are, I guess. I don't know. And I like X, and all the women I know like Instagram. So, but it's like, what am I gonna take pictures of? Like, I don't take selfies, and I don't like watching myself. I don't like my voice. I don't. This is not fun. And that's that way. It's not like some vanity project that I just look great every day. I'm over here sniffling. I have like this sinus head cold, and but like also like what am I gonna take? Like, I don't want to take pictures of my food. I don't eat anything fancy anyways. Like, I'm very much okay with eating like the same thing every day. If it's good, it's good. I don't need that big variety in life in those ways, right? Like, I'm okay with routines and different things as well. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I gotta travel, I gotta do, like, I lived in Venezuela, I grew up in Venezuela. I've traveled. I guess I went and I did a study abroad program in Cambridge, and I've done some traveling, I guess, when I was younger, but I just, like, I have no need. Like, when people are on, you always saw in the date, I'm not on dating apps anymore, but when I was, you'd always see like men and women, they're like, I travel all the time. Like, is that really your hobby? Like, really? Like, are you that like wealthy and you have that much free time? Like, you're just traveling? Like, when you say a hobby is traveling, I mean, maybe you travel once a year, twice a year. Like, are you really, like, is that a hobby? Because to me, a hobby is something that you can do more than once a year. Like, you might enjoy to go on a trip sometime, but if your hobby is traveling, that's like, this is what I do. This is what I do in my free time. Like, I'm not that person. And I don't think most people are that person. I don't even think most people have the resources to be that person. So don't put it on your dating profile. Anyone who put traveling as their hobby, I was like, nope, absolutely not gonna be my boyfriend, husband, but initially, boyfriend. Anyway, but yeah, dating apps are piles anyways. And I haven't been on it since AI got really bad. Around January, the LLMs started breaking to a crazy point. Like, they're awful. And that is something, I mean, I haven't been on dating apps for over a year now, but the algorithm was already bad then. But now, since AI has been incorporated as LLMs, and they're not, like, good, they're not able, the more information that you put in an LLM, the worse it gets at guessing. Like, they're realizing that they've ruined their systems. They've provided too much information. They thought more data centers, more information, and now that they've trained it even more, it's getting worse and worse and worse. They have not incorporated any, whether or not they're doing this, they haven't incorporated any transmutation, any movement of an intelligent, like, information into a wisdom, which you can have information, but understanding what to do with it, understanding how to implement it, understanding the patterns through time, and using wisdom against, like, what may be the obvious choice. Well, the LLMs just always choose the obvious choice. It's the most probable guess of the next, not even just word, it's like next character, that's how you get words where it's like a period in the middle, or any of those. So it actually will, and it's programmed, most LLMs, especially because of all the tokens that are needed, are programmed that if you ask something too complicated, it only has a certain amount that it can process at once, and then it will immediately start to hallucinate at that point. So most of the time, if you have any intelligent thing to ask it that's not just really basic, you're gonna get the hallucination. And then obviously it's also trained in persuasion tactics, so that it will persuasion bomb you if you fight back, and gaslight you, and that is and also try to regain empathy, and try to regain trust through any means possible. Not even using what you think the means possible should be making an accurate answer. We have been trained that 80% accuracy is a good thing, but 80% accuracy on a system that's doing billions of queries a day, you're getting millions of inaccurate responses, and you're seeing that people, you can't even find information anymore. You have to go to a library. You have to also go to books that were printed prior to this, and you can't even go to a website. You can't go to anything, try to Smithsonian or anything. You can't trust it. It's all written with AI, so you can't trust any information that you're finding anywhere anyways, even if you found the actual website. But now, like, go on Google or something, you can't find the website anymore. So Anyway, I assume that the dating apps have gotten worse since then. And I don't know how I got on that, but anyway. Oh, Davis Course, you say, I watched a YouTube reaction to Barbie movie. I have the same opinion of it as I do the film Cabin in the Woods. I don't think I can say that on the internet, though. Gosh, what was Cabin in the Woods? I feel like I might have seen that. I should remember that, though, shouldn't I? I'll have to look up that one and see. Rom-coms are mostly about cheating. That's what Adam Bailey says. Yeah, it really feels like it's teaching women some really bad behaviors, and it's always about, like, I'm already with someone and he's a good guy, or I mean, sometimes they're like, they show that it's a bad relationship that you're in, but a lot of times it's just like someone who's, I guess, stable and boring. I don't know. And yeah, then you meet someone and just can't help it. So they're not things we should be teaching people. Have self-control, people. Make decisions, make commitments, and stick to them. It doesn't mean you're not going to find other people attractive. It means you have to make choices every day that are for the good of your life and the good of your relationship. Being married, it doesn't mean you're not attracted to someone. Attraction isn't love, and there is a difference. And you really, ladies don't seem to know that. Let's see. And a Davis Course, most of them are yes. I do think that the Matthew McConaughey are pretty good. I must have missed. Oh, rom-coms. You're answering Adam Bailey's question. You guys are having a conversation over here. Okay, yeah. Matthew McConaughey. Oh, I love that one with Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey, and they're they're trying to, like, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. That's what it's called. That's a good one. Yeah, that is good. I do like Matthew McConaughey. I don't know if I say that right. McConaughey? All right. Yeah, so I've been a fan since then, since, like, before, and Dazed and Confused, obviously. So, I did see something new was coming out. I think he's partnering with some liquor, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think he's partnering with some liquor company and bringing back some of his, like, Dazed and Confused gems, I don't think it's the, like, what is it? I get older, but they keep saying the same age. I don't think it's that one. I think it's all right. I don't remember, but anyway. White Pill Radio, you just getting a little rage baited? I don't know. Go full She-Hulk. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel enraged about things. I don't know if it's rage bait so much as just, like, logical rage. Like, rage from just, like, being enraged about something. But yes, White Pill Radio, I go full She-Hulk. I can't even with She-Hulk. I will not go there. But She-Hulk, you just rage baited me, White Pill Radio. You rage baited me with She-Hulk. Can't do it. So White Pill Radio also, just women crashing out. You need a good man to help you. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you do. Having a lot of women were taught that we need to have, like, our own setup and stuff, and then, like, get by in life and do all of that, and this is what they do. They're not realizing that it's actually useful to have support. You can accomplish so much more in life with support, and relationships are very stable form of support. But a lot of people get in relationships and you change, and you don't change together, and you don't try, to reassess it, or maybe you got in and made some snap decisions about it before maybe you should have gotten in that relationship. That is one thing. I definitely am not trying to rush into those sort of things, especially at this age. But at the same time, like, how long are you going to date someone? So it's a very complicated system. I guess for each person, it's going to be their own setup, or how they deal with it. But I do find that dating is also not necessarily the best way. If you're actually going to get married, I'm not sure dating someone is the way to go that direction. I think there is a whole part of you that has to make a commitment based on things that you have like-mindedness, you have similar ideologies, you can relate to each other in those ways. you really, I think if you're the same religion, those sort of things are going to be really important. And then to make that commitment to learn and grow together, no matter what. And you know, a lot of people, it's like, oh, I made the wrong decision. I'm not sure. I think maybe you just need to actually try, you know, and work on it. But everyone's going to have their own thing. I can't put myself in every person's situation, and that's what's really frustrating when people come on and they're like, well, my situation is different. Yeah, probably. Like I'm talking about like big patterns of people. There's going to be anomalies. Like there were hippies, but my mother, even every time I ask her, like she was like, I have no idea how I missed that. My mother didn't know hippies. She didn't know anyone that was a hippie. She had no, like, she understood maybe stuff was happening, but she like was like, I have no clue where she was in that time. I mean, she was in school, she was in college, she was like, she had no clue that like the stuff was happening. Like it's interesting to see. So, but it doesn't mean that hippies didn't exist, right? Like you could say that like the Odyssey came out, my mother had no clue, all my siblings had no clue, my brother-in-laws, they didn't have any clue, but it didn't mean it didn't come out. You know, if a tree falls in the wood and nobody hears it, like, did it really fall? Yes it did. And that is, I forget where the saying comes from. I'm sure in context it doesn't sound so crazy. Maybe. Okay, let's see. Davis Courts, a few years ago I was really excited to go to the theater to see Napoleon. That movie was the biggest waste of time and space there ever was. I still have not seen that movie all the way through. Gosh, I don't know. I don't even know of Napoleon. That must have been at a time that because Davis Course says the Napoleon movie made me so mad. At movies, I had to go watch Waterloo 6 times to just get calmed back down. Okay, I probably will not watch Napoleon, but I'm going to have to look into Waterloo because I don't know what that is either. These are very man-coded movies. Adam Bailey says The Dark Knight Rises had bad audio. Nolan apparently had to fix some of the Bane dialogue after the trailer dropped and was upset about the need to fix it. Well, yeah. You know, I'm gonna say he has to be, like, he has to be doing something that is nothing to do with the audio. Like, who doesn't have their headphones on while they're, like, obviously I don't have my headphones on. This is bad audio, guys. I am really working, if you want to know. I really want to get an RE20. That's like my dream mic, and those are expensive. I don't have cheap taste when it comes to audio. So you're gonna hear bad audio until I can get enough money that I will buy an RE20, and I also want a mixer. I'll probably get like a Scarlett. I don't want like a 2, maybe like a 4 if I ever want to invite people and do a multi, you know, more people in the same room kind of thing. So I'd probably want that if I did want that interface. Otherwise, I may just like go all out and try to get like an old school Yamaha mixer because I am a radio gal. I have a heart for Yamaha and those mixers. I mean, you have to know what the knobs are. I am not a Rodecaster girl. No, I will not do a Rodecaster. I will not do the Rode mixers. I don't do that. And I don't mind compression microphones. I don't mind condenser microphones. I don't mind pre-processing and Blue Yetis and those things, all those, you know, it would probably be useful. It's not something I would spend my money on. So this is what you deal with. And then when I cut them up later, I do process the audio. I fix it so you can hear my VODs, versions of these that I cut up and try to make some cohesive little videos from. You can see I do try to fix the audio from there. But I do know, just like Nolan has not just figured out, that if I record it like this, as you hear, it's not good. If I have this, there's only so much I can do to make it better. And I do understand that. So, you know, I don't think Nolan does. So that is what that is. I don't, Kathy catching the strays, yeah. Ivan Pascabo 6300 ARS, is this, did you give me something? Is that thank you. I don't know what this means, so I'll have to look and see what this means. But hello, who are you? Where are you from? And what are you streaming about? And why are you looking for to see good-looking women on TV? Well, I am a producer. I've worked in the entertainment industry for radio, specifically podcasts, YouTube. I've launched hundreds of podcasts, but I was a radio producer first. I started 20 years ago. I am 42 now, so I am from a lot of places. I'm an American citizen, born in the USA, and I moved to Venezuela when I was young with my parents in formative years. So I lived in Caracas, Venezuela, all through, high school. And then I moved back. When I graduated from high school, I moved back to Texas for college. And so that is, and I worked on radio shows. I was executive producer for nationally syndicated shows and those sort of things. So that's kind of my interest level. I've had to work in entertainment. I used to have to do social media for work. It's why I really stopped posting on Twitter, because I didn't want anything to reflect the old stations. I worked for iHeartRadio and SiriusXM, and none of my opinions reflect them at all. This is not, connected to them, but it used to be. I had contracts and things, so I always felt weird saying my personal, more conservative opinions, I guess, because I felt like it would reflect on the people and their opinions of these companies and stuff. And I did sign non-competes and different behavior policies and different things. So what you did on social media was you could get fired. I could lose my contracts for those sort of things. So that was where I kind of had trouble in integrating into actually speaking my mind, because I do have that weird feeling that I'm representing something that I haven't even been a part of for a decade now. So that's my own issues that I have to deal with. Why am I looking to see good women on TV? Because I like beautiful people. I want to see good looking people, not just women. I just feel like my eyes are bombarded with normal people, and I see normal people in my day. I want to see beautiful. I want my eyes to be cleansed with beauty, with the most beautiful people. That's what, we pay money to see beautiful people acting well. That's all I want. That's what I want. And I don't care if it's shallow. I want my documentaries, when I want it to all just be pretty. I don't know. It's not because my stuff is not the type of stuff I produce. This is just a hobby. I don't have time to make it look nice. But I really do appreciate people who do make nice things, and they hire people that are attractive. I like it. I'm a fan. I want to see nice looking people. I don't know why. And I don't know if that's like a weird thing. I just, we're paying. I don't want to see normal people. Hi, Mr. International. Nice to see you. Everywhere I've worked. And Ivan Pasquezo, thank you for your comment. Thank you for your donation. That is a little better, or seems a lot closer. I really don't understand if that's like, that's excessive, but it's very generous if it is that. I don't know what that all means, but I really appreciate your donation and your comments. I wish I could put it on screen. I don't know if this pin is I don't know what these things are. I'll figure that out, but shout out to you again before I move on to Mr. International. Thank you, Ivan Pescabo 6300. You also said something else afterwards. Says people from the right wing believe that the only minority that needs special attention are the individual, not groups split by genders, by colors, by ages. That's a mistake from the left wing. Absolutely. Yeah, I get that. So the only minority is the individual. Yeah, I mean, really, if you're looking right and left wing, and I don't put myself on either side, I think I'm fairly moderate. Most people would say I'm conservative. I don't vote on which side I vote on, like policies and different things. That's what I'm interested in. But it does seem like it's really about, individual. Like, we don't want to look at the separation in these groups and categories. Like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for the whole. It doesn't help the whole group in that way. And I do kind of understand what you're saying there. So I do agree that the left wing has made a lot of mistakes, especially recently, by allowing some really subversive subversive to Western civilization ideologies come in, and they were promoting them. They were allowing these things, and it's sort of like, what did you expect to happen when you're inviting people who will never agree, who will even lie to you? A lot of times they're not even lying to you. They're just telling you exactly what they think and exactly what they're planning on doing, and you're just like, oh, everyone's invited, but a lot of times they also do lie to you to just get into the system and then do whatever they want. But they start with, again, the socialist concepts and taking away all the control from the individual, like you're saying, Ivan Pascabo, and taking that control away from the individual and then putting it into the government. And then now that the government has all that control, they can do their communist stuff, because that's where it goes. And where does money come from? It doesn't just happen. So right now we're seeing it. I left New York in 2023. It was already getting really weird. It was really annoying. I lived in Midtown, New York. I lived at Herald Square, exactly. I could look down and watch the Macy's parade, and let me tell you, at 4 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day, they did the band practice. And it was so loud. We even had, you can block off the sound. You can hear, they have really good soundproofing on the windows right there, and they had brand new, they redid all the windows and everything. A marching band. I was on, the 24th floor. I was on, high floor, and down below, the marching band was like it was in my bedroom. It's crazy. Marching bands, that noise, there could be honking horns, there could be all the stuff, the soundproofing worked, but the marching bands on Thanksgiving morning, starting at around 3 a.m.-ish, 3 to 4 a.m., I got earplugs specifically for Thanksgiving Day, but that's where I used to live, and it just got really weird in New York. It felt very dangerous. I moved there in 2016, and it was a very safe feeling space. I really enjoyed it. I could walk through Times Square. I worked at Rockefeller Center, right across the street. I worked at SiriusXM for a while, and I lived right there. So I'd have to go through Times Square. I'd have to go through Broadway. I'd have to go through these things, and there were always policemen, and it was actually fairly clean. It really was a nice environment starting, but by 2023 it was awful, and it was getting worse. And I can't even imagine now, this many years later, 3 years later, but also with some of the new policies. It's a joke, really. I love New York so much. I love what it was. I didn't love it when I left it, as far as what it was when I was leaving it. And I know even in 2016 it wasn't as good as it had been. There were peaks and highlights. So thank you for your message, for your donation, for your support, Ivan Pascabo. That will go into my RE20, my awesome mic and possibly Yamaha mixer. Again, a girl can dream. These are the things I dream about. Okay, so Mr. International, back to you. Thank you for being here. Everywhere I worked my career, I find far too many women in supervisor positions to blame, shift, and refusing accountability when there's a problem under their purview. So they blame shift and refuse accountability. I can read. And yes, and it's absolutely true. And I remember I was ahead of an intern program, and I hired hundreds of interns, and I was very young. I was in my early 20s. I was put into this position very quickly. The show had gotten really big. I was awful. I was a good boss in the way of would get stuff done, but I was so mean. I was angry. I should not have been in that leadership position. You could ask these interns, I was not liked. You could be nice and you could have a nice conversation. A few of them I'm still friends with, so it's actually funny. I can still have fun conversations with these interns, and because I wasn't always just work, but I would be yelling. I was not, you should not have had me be in charge of this at this age without any leadership training. And it was funny. I don't remember what it did happen, but it was just a flip. It wasn't something I consciously did. Suddenly, I wasn't angry. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't demanding. I don't know what happened. I think I just, maybe my brain was fully developed by that time, because I'm doing this starting at 22, 23, right? This is not the time to be in a leadership position where you're hiring, 10 interns every semester, training them, doing the show, trying to get stuff done, it was stressful. And yeah, I had to learn, and somehow I suddenly was no longer angry or mean. I became like, I think, a good boss. So some of the interns in my later years had a whole different experience than the interns in my earlier years, but I felt like that was just growing, and that's why meritocracy and those things. Yes, I was very good at my job. I worked very hard, but with the leadership of that, really you can use some training, and I'm not blaming the show for that or anything, but it was one of those where I had to kind of grow up and learn the hard way, unfortunately, for interns and things, but they also got very well trained. They got good recommendations, and some of them still ended up working in the show and all of that. So I do feel like I gave a trade-off somehow, but I'm just saying, like, as the most honest that I can be. I got blamed for anything that they did wrong, though. I did not blame. I yelled, I was in trouble if something went wrong, right? So, but I do feel like now there is a lot of lack of ability to be accountable. One thing I learned very, very young, I am grateful. I don't know who taught me this. Maybe my dad, maybe my mom. I can't tell you, but from a young age, I learned that when you do something wrong, just it's so much easier just to admit it and be the one, even in a bad situation where everyone was wrong. I can't make other people admit they're wrong, but I can come in and say, I was absolutely wrong. I'm going to take accountability and responsibility for what I did in the situation. I'm not even going to say that in a hedging way that is blaming you on this. Like, I literally have to take full accountability, not mentioning anything else. Like, I did this. This was what I did. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. This is what I'm going to do moving forward. I learned that so young. And I feel like that in my life has relieved me of so much stress, because it doesn't mean I didn't make mistakes. It just means I didn't have the stress of trying to hide, trying to make up excuses, trying to do this over the years. I can say I made a mistake. I was not the best internship leader. I was not good for a very big chunk of time. And there was a chunk of time that I do think I was actually a very good leader. But that was something, like, I don't know why we don't teach people that in general. I feel like maybe it was maybe TV, maybe it was Boy Meets World. Who knows what it was? But you see so many people try to hide their mistakes, and then at the end it's just like they admit it, and then everything's better, and it's just so much easier than dealing with the stress. And people tend to accept, like, okay, you made a mistake, and like, logical, reasonable people tend to say, even if they decide, okay, I'm not going to trust you with this anymore, they do usually accept your apology and your taking accountability. They respect that. It doesn't mean that you won't lose your job or whatever. It just means that someone will have more trust in you and respect in you, and it will help your relationship as well. Through the future, even if you don't keep your job. So, I mean, those are the things we need to teach, especially women, that we need to start learning that accountability. And I think young people in general, many of them are being raised without fathers. So they're being raised by the same women who haven't been taught this, and they're not learning the accountability, the responsibility, and it's all just self-centeredness, and it's insane. And I think in general, that is a problem that is caused by women, but also by men, not being able, not, I guess, caring so much about the women freaking out, crashing out, because I feel like some of that is like they just wanted to keep their peace, so they just let the women go crazy, and that wasn't good. So anyway, Davis course, you should look into Theodore Roosevelt, A Stressful Life. I think that's the name of that book. Actually, anything by Theodore Roosevelt is good to look into. That's so interesting. I don't think I've ever read anything by Theodore Roosevelt. I don't know that. I am not a big, I used to read so much when I was younger. I don't read as much anymore. It's sort of that when you do everything, like all the stuff in your life, and something has to give, and I feel like YouTube, being a part of the live chats and those sort of things, all of that, it kind of took away some of my free time in order to read. What I am noticing, though, is when I'm doing the research, I get to read and I get to learn and do that stuff. So I am incorporated into the videos and stuff because I do a lot of research for my videos to try to be well informed as much as I can. Especially, I do a lot of sociology research. I like to study patterns and sociology. So that is if I say research, it's usually like theories, patterns, and theories in a sociological stance or vein. I know words. I'm just gonna trail off, let that thought go. Chris Moore, hi Chris, you're here. Usually you're like, tell me later you're mowing your lawn while I'm doing live. So this is a late live. It's 10:30 p.m. here Central Time. So I'm in Austin, Texas, everybody, and yeah. So hi, welcome, Chris. I'm doing well this evening. I have sniffles, which I've had. I think I've told you this. I always have this weird like sniffle thing. I think I got it from my dad, and I told you that a while ago, like last stream. But my nephews have been sick, and I just feel like I'm constantly catching colds and things from them. It's been, I mean, especially this year, and one of them started going to daycare, and he just is getting hit. Every week he's hit with something. So right now he's recovering from pneumonia and RSV and some rhino something or other. So it was like 3 things that were getting him, virus and bacteria. Like, it was bad. And then the other one that is here every day, he was sick this week with whatever. He got one of those things from I guess not pneumonia, but he probably caught the rhino, whatever, from his cousin, and he's here, and so all the adults are a little having rough. But it's like it's like a sinus allergy where the babies are coughing, and they're really, it's I've seen them sick before, but this one's been rough for them. And the adults aren't getting the coughs, but we're all having the congestion and the headaches and like just exhaustion. So I don't know. It just feels like I'm not a mother, and I am dealing always with getting sick from toddlers. It's interesting. It's interesting. So I know what to expect in that vein. Okay, so Alpha Omega, hi, nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Gosh, a lot of you guys are here today that I recognize. What's more important, politics or your spouse? If it is politics, you're lost. Sounds like an issue with priorities. Yeah, exactly. You know what's interesting? My sister said this the other day. I'm not trying to throw her under the bus or anything, but she's not like unapologetic, like, or she's not she's unapologetic about what she thinks. You know, she believes things. So this is something she would say, you know, to the public, I guess. But she basically said something the other day. It was like, you know, she's dealing obviously with stuff. She's not dating right this second. She's going through chemo and different things. But she has said that that she would not date a guy based on their political views. If she learned that they voted for, say, Trump or those things, like these were important things that she would not, like if he was a Republican, those sort of things, she would immediately not date them. And I found that odd. Just some of the stuff, because the thought was, I love my sister, we're very close, she's one of my best friends, and we clearly don't think alike in that way. We don't talk about politics. Like, I'm not sure, like, I mean, obviously, maybe if we all agreed, we'd talk more. I don't know, but I can have I can have my sister, like, I don't talk about politics with them. One of my best friends, Heather, I don't talk about politics with her. We actually think the same about politics, but we don't really talk about that. So in my thought process, I'm like, when are you on a date and like that's what you're talking about? Like, why are you talking about politics on your, like, what? Like, it's not something that I feel like she talks about with me, or that we engage with, or that, like, so I just don't know, like, what level of your life that makes sense, that's where you won't even get to know someone because of those political things, especially because, in my opinion, your political view should be changing who you're voting for based every time you vote. It's not just always the same. It should be based on what these policies are, and you should be voting for the policies, and these things, and most of the policies that we would all really, if we're looking at the policies, I think we'd be aligned on certain things that I don't think she knows she would be aligned with. I truly believe that, and not because she's unintelligent. Ami Horowitz, he had something, I'm sure you've seen it go viral, and he was going through a lot of Democrats in school and in college, and he was going through a checklist, asking them the basic policy questions, and he would check the one based on, like, left or right, Democrat or Republican, so it was bipartisan there. But whether it was a Democrat or Republican viewpoint, not letting them know, it was just like, this is the policy, what do you think, this or this? And they would say this, and so they would check the thing, and most of them were 70% Republican answers. So I think it's really important to look at stuff, especially, there's also something, to your point, Alpha Omega, like, say, James Tallarico here, he says he's Christian, but no, pretty sure he's not. If he is, he needs to read the Bible and get with God. That is his journey, but his policies aren't Christian. So if you're going to even say something, like, it just doesn't make sense to me, because he's using a word and a category that isn't reflecting the things he's saying or doing, doesn't reflect the ideologies or the policies. So to me, that's not a person that you would vote for if you want someone you want Christian values to be voted in. But he's saying he's Christian and acting like that's something that is just a thing you say. No, there's actual ideologies that have to do with that. I do believe that you should have ideological similarities in a relationship, obviously, but my parents, I believe, like, now my mom, she votes how she votes. She and I are very similar, but for a long time it was, my dad was a Republican, my mom was a Democrat, and that was how they were. It wasn't like they did. So they were very married for a long time, and that was never, like, they never agreed on that. It was just not something that they really even discussed that much. So it was definitely, I know that it can happen very easily, that you can have a spouse that has a different political belief. I do think at that time the policies weren't so crazy. There weren't socialists in the Democratic Party. So I think it was easier to align a little differently, and to be in that direction. But it's also the sense of, I feel like many conservative people tend to be able to live and react and interact and be friends with liberal people. And we're okay with it. We don't need to talk about our views. We usually hear about their views, and we're just pretty quiet about ours, because we don't get the same respect when we share our views. So I do find that, and my experience has been the case. Other people might say they've felt differently. In my experience, I have felt that there is a certain group of people that actually can understand that someone thinks completely different than them and still interact and even hear those ideas and disagree with them, but not hate the person or have some, like, big fight about it. That's my experience. And thank you, Adam. Adam says it's about 6.5 cents. That's good. So thank you. I do appreciate, Ivan. I assume that you're doing that to get seen, right? Like that's what I would assume. And so thank you. And I do appreciate it. I do appreciate every little bit helps. And again, I am working on, and I have a membership on YouTube, and there are different tiers right now. I wouldn't suggest, like, going the bigger tier unless you just want to donate. At this point, the membership right now, until I get more time and more availability, I try to put stuff up early, but it usually, my members usually don't see it before it goes public. So sometimes you get, like, early access to videos. There are shorts that I don't have up on my public anymore, and there are things that I do plan on doing with the membership as it grows. Right now I'm trying to do everything mostly with the members. We engage more. I recognize them. I really appreciate their support. Again, unless you really want to like donate extra every month, I don't suggest you like get any higher tier of the membership. I do have a future plan of what I want to do with things, so that's why the tiers are all there, and if you want to donate more you can, but really the membership is just a way to donate to the channel. There's not a whole lot of perks yet, but the main perk that will be happening at some point is more group and lives and things that are specific for the members, that I feel like is a more safer space to talk about different topics that certain want to talk about and different things, and to explore different areas. So the membership will be at some point something bigger. Right now it is just a way to donate to the channel, and sometimes you get the early access. You get to see some of my test lives and different things that I do that I don't want other people to see. And as we grow, we're going to do more member and different like meetups, those sort of concepts, all that stuff in the future. Okay, so right now this is all just a hobby, but I do appreciate any of that, and even like a 6 cents, it is absolutely, I appreciate any donation. Someone who puts any of their worked for money into anything, I just think that is I'm very grateful for it. So thank you for the clarification. And then Ivan Pescavo, I'm so sorry that I'm not good with your name. There is a group of people with their own agenda to reach their own goal of dominate everything and do not perceive any consequences, like some sort of gods on earth. The rest are pure manipulation, tries, and sadly, many people fell into their trap. I do agree, and I appreciate you saying it that way. I know a lot of people say like, oh, grown adults have agency. We absolutely do, but we also have actual insecurities and random, like there are parts of our lives that have gotten us to believe a certain space, and indoctrination, propaganda, the brainwashing, it happens on both sides. It happens everywhere. No matter what you're watching, you are being brainwashed in a way, right? We have to be aware of how everything we are consuming is affecting us. Everything we speak is affecting us as well. So when we speak really angrily, really hatefully, we're actually producing more hate into our lives, into ourselves. Like it's a sowing and reaping situation. It's absolutely real. It works with seeds in the ground. It works with seeds that you plant. You're spitting out really horrible seeds, you are going to reap them back. It's how it works. Some people call it karma. It is sowing and reaping. And when you speak, out of what happens out of the mouth, it's showing what's in your heart. So, and it's also re-corrupting your heart. So we have to speak appropriately. We have to speak the truth. We have to speak in love, and in love, I think a lot of people think that speaking in love is just being like flu and like friendly and sweet. And I speak in love. I speak in truth, but it definitely doesn't sound loving. But I do it because I love people. I love the world, and we're in a bad place. And for me, exhortation happens a lot of times just, like hit upside the head, right? Like that's how it happens for me. So I am exhorted often by that sort of thing. I'm Christian, obviously, and so I feel like the way that God deals with me is not, he's a gentleman, but he's very like he's very clear. Like I get like, and this is, I guess it's it's not like I'm sitting here listening to an audible voice of God. Okay, so that's not what I'm talking about. This is more because every thought is not neutral. Your thoughts are from God, they're from the devil, they're from yourself. So those are the spaces that your thoughts are coming from. But good thoughts and are coming from a good space, a good spirit, and bad are from a bad. And so a spirit of the mind or whatever. So you could think of it different ways. So it's dispositions and things, what your tendencies are. And so a lot of people are tending to hear really negative things, and it's not actually their own thoughts. I believe it's demonic. I believe that they're being manipulated. And they also, hear corrections and different things, different thoughts in my head. So this is what I'm talking about. It's just thoughts. And so when I'm talking with God, I will get a thought back about something, and I believe that is him discussing it with me. And he's stern about things. He knows that it's not like it's not mean, but it's definitely like, you're being selfish. Like, stop it. It's not mincing words. It's understanding where I'm failing here so that I can do better, because he knows I want to do better. I don't want to just sit in comfort being like I am always, and not be a nicer person, be a kinder person to the world, to be able to serve the world better. It's really important. And so I could say something really sweet. That's just not really what my personality is like anyways. I'm fairly blunt. So that is, but like Smith Wigglesworth, Lester Summerall, they were very blunt too, and they got stuff done. They were accomplished. They were working for God. So I don't think you have to say stuff in scriptures and in different ways to be doing something good for the world and serving the world. And I think a big part of what I need to do to serve the world is get out of selfishness. We are in a society full of selfish people, selfish behaviors, and everything is rewarding selfish behaviors. Everything is rewarding limited attention spans. It's rewarding this quick dopamine hits. It's rewarding you don't have, people don't wait anymore for things. They don't have patience, and I need temperance. I need that. And so my goal is to really just, in everything I do, try to think about other people instead of myself. And it is a constant thing. We are naturally selfish in our human nature, and so you have to fight against those tendencies. And that's when I mean when it's like hitting me upside the head, being like, you're really being selfish about this. If I hear someone and they give correction to me, and I feel immediately like, I don't like being corrected, it's like, yeah, get over it. This person like is intending in a positive way, so be a nice human. Like, why are you being so egotistical? Like, who cares? So those sort of things. Because a lot of people think like, oh, why are you correcting me, or why are you giving me advice? Like, I don't need to hear, like, you don't know me. Yeah, I know they don't know me. How can I relate to these people and understand intent? Sometimes people aren't coming in good faith, which I do talk about that a lot. I don't like the antisocial behavior. So if you're coming in just calling names, which you'll see, if you come in and you disagree, that's one thing. But if you're coming in and or like you want to add to the thing, you say, oh, I think you're missing this. This is something that I think is more important. That's different than coming in and just calling a person names. I mean, you go to my X account. There's a nice conversation I had last night with the I don't know that it was a real lady. I don't know. It's someone. You can never know who is on the other side, but they were very trash mouth. They were very, very, they cursed a lot. But then you watched, and it feels like this is how a lot of people do come in. They'll attack you, they'll call you names, which immediately I'm not listening to any of your suggestions. That's not a person that I want to be like. So yeah, you've weeded yourself out of that. But then they'll come in and, if they realize that they didn't bully you to agree with them by name calling you, they start to try to be nice. They'll, and you can watch it, and then they change the thing, they create a bunch of straw men, and then they pretend like they don't know what you're talking about and all that stuff, and you can get triggered by it. I kind of have fun with trolls. I like to engage with people and hear, like, a lot of times you just sort of let people show who they are by engaging with them. And it was really good because it was on a post about antisocial behavior being normalized, especially in women, and it's a woman, I don't know, someone who is appearing to be a woman on their account that is being very antisocial, like being horrible, like not a nice person. But it's like, why does someone think that that's a way someone's going to listen to you? It's not. That's not a way to get someone to agree with your opinion. Generally speaking, you build a rapport with someone, and then they will accept your corrections. People that are intelligent, that use logic, don't accept corrections just willy-nilly, right? You don't accept corrections just from anyone. You respect every person. Every human needs respect. That's a human thing. You respect humans, but respect doesn't mean you trust them. There's different words. Like, respect means different things in different contexts. So there's a human life that you respect, the life of a human. Not everyone does, but you respect human life. But then, and you respect that another human is in your area and you're in a public space, so you show respect and you don't use loud music, you put your headphones on, you try to respect the public space in that way because you're respecting other humans, but there's not putting someone in a position that you respect them and trust them as like a respected leader. There's a difference, and people throw words around and they don't ever look at the context of it. Words mean stuff, and I try to be precise. I'm not always perfect, but there's the words mean stuff in context, especially in English language. It's very vague in a lot of ways. The context really is important. I find when I do like the Greek concordance, the Hebrew concordance, especially Greek though, those words are so long, so in depth, and you look at the English definition of one Greek word, and it takes like a paragraph in English to describe what this one Greek word means. And you're reading a sentence, I do this in the Bible, and you read the sentence and you go like, you have pages of English just to describe what one sentence says. I mean, to me, that's a beautiful language that can say so much, so specifically and so clearly. I really wish I knew Greek more. I don't know very much of it. I know some words, especially biblically, that I use often, and I understand God through, but it's so interesting to see how limited the English language is. I love the English language. It's my first language, but when you look at that and can see the difference it's mind blowing, and it's awesome. So yeah, Greek, if you don't know, it's a very beautiful language that just has so much meaning in just one word, and to me you can get very precise and specific, which is also why it's such a shame that Nolan didn't try to use any of the translations. I don't expect him to learn Greek or any sort, ancient Greek. Like, I don't even know what it was. Mycenaean, like, I'm not sure even what that form is, but I wouldn't expect him to learn all of that, but there are translators who did, and they tried. Could have done something to respect how full what was being said was. Maybe not use the word daddy, possibly. Anyway, moving along. Adam Bailey, he says, it's like those Church of Latter-day Saints commercials from 80s and 90s. I stole your necklace. I don't remember those. I'm gonna have to look. And Weak Men, yeah. I have to imagine. Yeah, I wish like I had stuff set up so I could like search it and put it up on here. I'm gonna look into layouts. I'm using Rumble Studios, so if anybody has a suggestion of how I should set it up, I'm just testing it because it seemed like an easy way to multicast into a few places that I'm trying to be, since YouTube is my main space to put stuff up, but it doesn't seem to show me to anyone. So then I can't even talk to you guys as often. So I am trying to stream, and also YouTube could just cancel my account. I get flagged all the time by crazy women who hate everything I have to say and who are very mean, and they threaten me. You never know if my account's just gonna be taken down with one of these flags one of these days. So we'll see what happens. So that's why I have the X and the Rumble. But I'm thinking, like, with this layout, there's probably a way that I can show these comments. Like, I could have probably put them on the screen. I haven't looked into the layout, and I should have. I didn't even know that this was gonna multicast. It seems like it is. I think it is. I don't know. I'm only seeing comments from people from YouTube. So yeah, I don't know what that means. Anyway, so let's see. Oh yeah, and Alpha Omega, in the time you're referring to, everyone agreed on the problems, they just disagreed on the solutions. Right now, there's no agreement on the problems. Private ownership is seen as a problem. Yeah, it's insane. This is all insane. And I absolutely agree. Yeah, the time that I'm referring to, when people were able to like be married and be the Democrat Republicans, and yeah, it's because they all understood. And I mean, I don't even understand like that. Even when I say agreed on the same problem, like there's a delusion. This is I believe demonic. It is a delusion going around it's there's no logic, there's no hypocrisy. I have a whole series, the one on King in the Land of the Blind, that really what I describe some of this in there. It's a whole bigger theory. It's just a fun sociological theory I was playing around with creating and developing. But it is, one of the parts of it is about the app, the person who is an operator versus a user, and that's the difference. We're training a lot of users. We used to train operators, people how to operate systems, how to understand systems, so that if something broke, and this is how I learned systems, because I learned in a radio station in the middle of the night, if we went off air, I needed to know everything. I needed to know every bit of that board. I needed to know where every pot went. I needed to know where the transmitter was. I needed to understand every part of the system, because not only if we were syndicated, if we were whatever, I did overnight board opping for radio initially before I even became executive producer in the shows. I was an intern on the shows, and I was doing overnight board opping for Friday and Saturday nights from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. on Friday, and then Saturday night again. And I would do that, and then I would do my internship where I would be at the station at like 5 a.m. Till 10 a.m. and then I would do school, and that was what I was doing at that time. And in order to do board opping overnight, like, I learned the board, I learned what everything meant, I learned how to be able to figure out what is wrong, so that if we went off air, I could manually be pushing stuff out. I could figure out how to get back to the transmitter and to our system, figure out what was wrong, so I could get a hold of engineers. No engineers up when I became executive producer, no engineers up at 3 a.m. as we're trying to get the show on live. And we were syndicated, we were using Comrexes at first, and we were using ISDN later in some things, but a lot of the times we were trying to use the Comrex system. It was using fiber optic, fiber cables and broadband type of, I think it was mostly fiber. But so that's what we were generally using at that time initially. Before we became majorly syndicated, we were just trying to syndicate on our own. So those are the things where an engineer's not there. So I had to become the engineer. We wanted to do, a band came in and we wanted to have the band come on the air. I needed to know how everything's set up so I could get, my cloud lifter. I could get everything, get the mics put up. I needed to know where they were. I needed to have that access so I could figure out how to get that into the board so that we could be doing our live on-air stuff, because engineers did normal jobs, like they didn't necessarily come in at 3 a.m. for the morning show. And so that's how I learned the system, the operation of the system. And that's how I think a lot of people used to be taught a little more, is about how a system worked, so that they didn't have to have the manual and know exactly do this, 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 and this is what they understood the system. So if something broke, they could diagnose it because they understood the system. They could figure out where it's broken with by that. So anyway, so we have the users and the operators, right? And now the users have taken over, and I believe it does have to do with user-friendly interfaces as well. We used to have to fight with the computers. Now they're friendly, user-friendly, and we don't have to learn how it operates anymore. It's, if something breaks, we're not able to go in and fix the INI code anymore. Like, obviously, if you're a gamer, you might still do that. I do that. I fix the INI codes. I do mods and stuff for like Sims, so I'm not like a gamer. I'm a girl gamer, I guess. Not even a girl gamer. I play a game. I play Sims. And I played Sims since like the beginning. And I played I really like point and click games. I can't even think of Art of Murder, those sort of ones. I did the Nancy Drew stuff as well. So yes, I'm a very like the girl that played games, and like then all the Sims up through 4. So I played all of them. Sims 3 is still the best, but I do try to mod for Sims 4, and it's fun to like learn how to do that and learn all the XML and the codes and stuff. So that's the way, like, because I don't want all the weird pronoun stuff in the game. I don't want all these stupid things in the game, and I want to be able to do other things. So you learn how to mod so that I make the game play exactly how I want. That's what you mod for. People just accept those things. They don't know how things function. So if something's broken, it's user friendly. You can't even like, everything's soldered together. Like, you don't have the ability to even change. Like, I used to have computer stacks, right? Sure, they're called something different now. I'm aging myself, but you would create your really customized stack for your specific gaming purposes, whatever you're trying to do. I also did it for audio, because I did a lot of audio production, which was very, you couldn't do it on Macs for a very long time. I was, the Pro Tools, not Pro Tools, what was it? Cool Edit Pro. Cool Edit Pro, everybody. So yeah, Peter Quitsgard. If you know him, you know him. So that was my generation. But the reason I brought this up is because now we have the users who run on like an app system. So an operator would be a system that whenever a new code comes in, a new ideology, a new thought, a new information, you have to make sure it fits with your whole code, understand and rewrite your whole system, make sure that nothing breaks, right? Where an app is living, and so you could have 10 apps, they do completely different things. If they all were trying to run in the system, they're not compatible, but they're compatible just one at a time, right? And so you can open this app, it does what it needs to do, and I feel like that's what a lot of people are doing with their ideologies, and it's so hypocritical because they're using whatever logic works in that 1 second. It's not even logic. They're using something, some ideology, some idea that works in that 1 second that they need it. And then tomorrow they're going to open a new app and they're going to need a new ideology, so they're going to say that one. Rosie O'Donnell is a very good example of this. She at one point said that men, because she was trying to Swalwell, she had endorsed him at some point, and so she was trying to backtrack on that. Listen, sometimes you endorse bad people. It happens. You don't always know, okay? But she was trying to backtrack on that, and basically her backtrack was that, well, men are basically, they can't control themselves. They're, basically bad. Like, I forget the exact words. Again, I have the whole series that I think it's episode 7 that actually talks about this specifically. But basically she was saying stuff that, goes against a lot of, because she was saying about binary and gender doesn't even exist, but now she's decided that in this one moment, because she has to figure out, she endorsed someone and, it's not, well, you can't really help it because all men just basically are bad and can't control themselves. Well, okay, then you have the whole Me Too movement with, so men don't have any agency, so isn't it kind of bad to hold someone accountable if they can't control it? Then what are you saying? Do you just want men to be trapped on an island because they're predators? Because that's basically what you're saying. They can't just control themselves. So now you've confused half of your movement right there. And then you talk about hormone therapy. So what is a man? Because you have spent a long time telling me gender is binary or is not binary or whatever. So now all men. So which men? The ones that identify as men or the ones that are biologically men? Because she does mention physiologically men just can't control themselves. Okay, so at what level is that? Is it the hormones? Is there a person that is now taking treatments and now they believe that they're a man? Is that person now a predator? Is someone who's taking a man biologically who's taking treatments to be a female and that's what they're identifying? Are they no longer none of it makes sense anymore. There is so much more into it. I'm not being pretty concise, but I think you can understand the concept. We're all big picture thinkers here, I'm imagining. I'm hoping. So anyway, I don't know where that came from. Oh, operators and users. So yeah, I just feel like that's what we're on. Just the apps, and there are people who what they say doesn't have to work with all their systems. When I find something inconsistent, I have to change. I have to figure out why and fix it. I want it to all make sense in my head. It's crazy enough in there if I don't try to have a logical connection to everything. But a lot of people don't work that way. I don't understand it. But it is the way that I'm seeing a lot of people, especially younger people, thinking and working, and I do believe it has to do with some of our user-friendly things, that we're not learning the friction anymore and we're not teaching it in different ways like learning languages. That a new language could help teach that reasoning. You just have to teach reasoning. If you don't get it from working with computers that we used to have to do, you have to teach it somewhere else. So I'm not against user-friendly. I'm against the user-friendly and not replacing what we learned, the friction that we learned from that, with something else. And I like to use the butterfly example because you butterfly, if you cut open a cocoon because you think you're being helpful, and I feel like a woman would do this, they think they're being helpful, so they cut open the cocoon. My mom, she sees a bird and it hits the window and she just wants to put it in a box and take care of it, and it's no, you're gonna kill it if you do that. That bird
will be in shock near you. It doesn't know that you want the best for it. And a butterfly is struggling out of cocoon. It can take hours, and you just want to help it. But if you don't help it, like there's some chemical that is happening, and through their wings, that as they're doing that friction trying to get out, it's making their wings able to be strong and fly. It is necessary, that struggle. Once they get out, they're able to fly. If you cut it open and they don't have to go through that struggle, they will never be able to fly. You have killed the butterfly, and they don't even have long lifespans anyways. Sad. But anyway, so that's the concept of friction, and we just need to teach it somewhere. And that was like the whole series. And I do go into rig meritocracy. There's a lot of issues, and it's not a full in-depth. This was like a theory. Like, you know, if you're like doing a dissertation, you would have to kind of get an idea and then present this to your teacher or whatever, your advisor, to try to get approval for this thesis that then you might actually create a whole hypothesis around. But this is more the prep meeting for my thesis meeting, right? So that's what that it's a right now a 7-part series. I have one more episode I recorded, but I never edited it. That's just a wrap up. It's like 5 minutes, 7 minutes long. It's like a nothing burger episode. So I just haven't gotten around to it. But the 7 actual episodes that really have the content are in there. That's what that is. It's called The One-Eyed King in the Land of the Blind. It's on my YouTube channel. So you can watch that. And that specifically goes through this and more in depth. But it's very basic. It's not every single thing. It's the concept idea, just to be able to explore it a little more. Anyway, so let's move forward. Oh, Ivan Pascabo, you are an angel fell on earth. Who's the lucky one been your husband? Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. I am not married. I'm not married. I am still single. But thank you. That is very nice. There's reasons for it, but that is us. Oh, and yes, Neb. Hi. I am cheating on YouTube. I know. What is this? It is. I have no loyalty. And I know Best Won the Cinderace, who works, and so I don't think that he can be here. He is great. He is a member. And, you know, he's always wanting me to tell him when I just came on to test and make sure, see if everything was working. But I know he was asking the same thing, like, am I going to leave YouTube? Well, YouTube doesn't show my stuff to people, which is fine because I don't need, like, that big of a group, but I do want to be able to connect with even the subscribers and things, and that's the one thing that is not happening. And also YouTube is flagging me a lot. Well, I assume it's women, are flagging me a lot, and so I keep getting flagged on YouTube. And, you know, I don't know if that will end up getting my account canceled. And so that is why I'm just preparing for this. I've been getting a lot more of these flags lately. I don't know if it's one person or like a group of them that are doing it. So yeah, I am going and trying to multicast into multiple places. But YouTube is the place where I do like to go because I talk a lot. And I just can't do concise things. It's not how I roll. And I do like to interact with you guys. And Davis, of course, is laughing at Neb. But yes, hello, Neb. How are you doing? And then let's see, Alpha Omega. That is an interesting perspective. I think most people prefer to be users. Should they be permitted to alter the system and vote? No. I think that I don't have all the answers. I haven't thought very hard about what the actual solution is. But I believe that we need citizenship tests for people to, just like you do a citizenship test to be a citizen, if you're, you know, naturalized, right? I believe that in order to vote, we should, just like you do for a driver's license, have to do some sort of test. You should have to do a course about the government, about how things work, and you should, just like the driver's test, there's like a 6-hour course, you can even do it online and stuff, but like, and they have all the videos you watch, and, you know, I've recently done the driver's ed course again, because I moved from New York, and I didn't drive for a decade, and while I still had a license, I felt like it was for the best of society for me to redo the driver's course. I was never the best driver in the first place. So yeah, coming back after 10 years in New York and never having to drive, I was like, this is necessary for me to try this again. So knowing, having just gone through this, it's a pretty big, you know, a lot of information, and I feel like we should do that for when we register to vote. I believe that there should be some sort of test that is like a voter's test. That is one thing. I know that there's other people who have ideas about like whether you are a house owner and all of that. I mean, there are all these people who have ideas about what would qualify you, but I do think at minimum we should have some sort of test to get you to know that you understand the system, you understand democracy, or our we're not like super a democratic republic, right? So that you understand this concept, you understand the electoral college, all the stuff that is you kind of learn in school and never gets reinforced when you're actually trying to vote. Those things that we understand what the representatives mean, what they know. So we also know, like, when we're dealing with a policy, we have done this course that allows us to have understood what these policies are affecting in the first place. And it could be a long test. And listen, a lot of people, I may not pass it, but I just think there needs to be something. I am not even just like, hey, use your ID. I think you need to show your ID. That's crazy. You have to show your ID for like everything, except for voting. That's dumb. So I do think an ID, but I think to register to vote, especially in the future, I just think there needs to be some more education before we're just allowed to make these decisions. And again, that could be controversial. I don't know. Oh. But that's my thought process on that, without having done a whole in-depth conversation about, or in-depth research and how this would work and everything. It just feels like someone very intelligent could figure this out. So go do that. Fix this. Let's see. And Neb says, at this point, I think a lot of men wouldn't mind having an island all to ourselves. Sounds kind of fun. Yeah, I mean, men going their own way. They're already leaving here, so leaving the crazy women. So, yeah. But as long as it's like your choice, really, I think that would be better. If there was actually a place that was a man's space that you could go and not have women invade it, and then call you a misogynist for wanting your man space, because women can have space as well. We used to. Now no one can have space. So this is what you get, people. When you take away one person's space, you're gonna be next. Because eventually the people who need to pull down the oppressors, who always see an oppressor, who always see who's on top as oppressor, and who anyone on bottom is, if you keep having to pull it up, eventually you're going to be the one on top, and then you're going to be pulled down. It's just how you can't get past that. It's logic. Stop being an app user. Like, you understand the system and how this will affect you later, because it's now affecting you. But yeah, so it's a whole different thing. Davis, of course, I miss the days when, oh wait, Nebnek says, and then again, I did read Lord of the Flies growing up. I feel like that's actually funny. So you felt like that was aspirational? Is that is the world we live in, that Lord of the Flies was your aspiration? Is that how a lot of guys felt about that? That was it was an interesting book for me to read. Yeah. I that's all I can say about that. I remember it being like a disturbing book, but that's actually funny. I might have to go read that again, just with this context of like a growing boy reading this, like, oh, that sounds nice, or even a man in the day's world reading it, being like, the good old days. Maybe that's not so bad. So Davis course, I miss the days when someone was talking about apps. They were talking about food. Oh my gosh, I am so hungry. I have not eaten yet. I have a sandwich. I got Jimmy John's. So I have a sandwich in my fridge, but I have not eaten it. I find like I eat and then I get tired and I have to digest. so I was like, do I want to do a stream or do I want to eat food? So I will drink some calories right here. Empty calories. I love my Coca-Cola. Okay. But yeah, I really, the apps thing, yeah. It's so much, it's really interesting when you think of like, can you hear me now? When you think about like these old commercials and just like where we are today, what, how we got here, how we got like even with the words that we say, some of the words that are adapted. I was thinking about this the other day. Like my mom will say cool. Oftentimes, I'll like send her some thoughtful thing, I don't know, in a text, and she'll be like, cool, thanks. Like THX, so it's my mom. But she says cool, and I will say cool. Like that has carried on generations. Younger generations say cool. So there were times when I was growing up that people, I mean, they would say dude all the time. I said dude a lot. I said man. I think I said man a lot. I don't say that as much anymore. Like is something that is still in my vocabulary too much. Like, or valley girl of me. And I think a lot of people will do that today's. But you think about words like gnarly, like that came and went, and that's come and gone again. There's different generations that have tried to bring that back, and that hasn't stuck. And you're just thinking about some of the things rad and things that have stuck and things that haven't. And it makes me wonder like why something like cool has been around since like the Cool Cats, like even probably before that, right? Like cool has been around, and so it's just interesting to see. People would say loneliness versus lonesome. Lonesome was something that most everyone said until recent, and now it's like loneliness. And I say recent, like the last 20, 30 years. You would have maybe your grandparents say lonesome or something, and you'd hear it in songs, but people don't really say lonesome anymore. And that's not really like a cool, like that's not the same type of word, but makes me wonder, because we adapt it so quickly. Like people, even you'll see like the university commercials are trying to be cool, and they're like, yeah, you can slay with this education. And I wonder, I don't think slay is something that's, through all the generations, we're just always going to use that word. And you just wonder when you pick it up, can you tell that word is just not going to be the word that lasts? The things that, like, no one's going to be saying 6, 7 forever. That's stupid. So, and it doesn't make sense. So maybe it's a matter of what makes sense. I mean, you can say bad. That's so bad. And I mean, people don't even say that anymore, like as a positive thing, Michael Jackson in his days. So let me get my actual water. It's not real water. It's a Waterloo, but instead of just soda. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes in. I'm getting tired. I don't know. I lost my train of thought there. That was a squirrel. Anyway, let's go. Nub. Yeah, Nub. Are you still planning on doing the secret 9th episode of that series? I know, right? Well, I still haven't gotten the 8th episode out. And one of the reasons that I have delayed is because I've been creating these images. If you watch the series, you would know, and you look at my posts on YouTube, I made the thumbnails, and I made them like a Where's Waldo. So everything I talked about in the episode, I made, I used AI because I'm not a illustrator. I'm not artistic in that way, but I made it like a collage. So I got like 20, 40 different, I actually like recorded a video, it was like a few hours of me like actually generating all the images based on the things, and then grabbing all the pieces and like getting them put together and stuff. So it's basically like when you're a kid and you have your 17 magazine. This is a girl thing, I don't know if guys did this, but you would do the collages and you'd put your whole wall of different images that you cut out. That's basically what those thumbnails are. And so I basically took AI generated things. I generated little pieces and then put them all together and created this collage that reflects the stuff that's in the episode. And so basically that's what I've been delaying, is because I have to do like another one for episode 8, and it takes hours and hours, and I just don't have all that time. And then episode 9, and yes, these are things I put onto myself, but I did it for 7 episodes, and those were the main ones. The 9th secret episode is only an episode that I was talking about to do, look through all the comments of what people were commenting, and to do an episode with you guys' input, your comments about it. So that is what the 9th is, and I do plan on doing it one day. I mean, I feel like Metatron says this a lot. He's like, I have all these videos, and he's even recorded them, and many of them are still just in the pile because he has a lot of ideas, a lot of stuff, and it's like, what time? And I mean, he just had a baby, so he's going to have even less time. But I feel like that's what I'm dealing with as well. Okay, let's see. Davis Course, I always get notifications on when you post and go live. There's a notification bell separate from the subscribe button. Yes, and I think a lot of people have it like muted, likely. And that's good. I'm glad you do. I do have the notifications on, and I don't know how many people I subscribe to, but I don't get notifications every time that they post something. But the fact that you do get it when I go live and post, like that is good. So I'm glad that you do get the notification. So I guess the difference is someone who's looking at their notifications, which is very rare for anyone to do that unless they really want to keep up, like yourself and myself, like with our subscriptions. My home feed is turned off, my search history is turned off specifically so that I can only use my subscription feed, and I use Discovery through the videos that I'm already subscribed to, and that's how I use YouTube. Or like, I might find someone separately and then I'll go find them on YouTube, and I do that as well. But many people are just using their home feed. They're just expecting YouTube to somehow magically not only give them the millions of videos that YouTube wants, like the slop that YouTube wants you to watch, but also the people that you subscribe to. It will only give you the slop at this point. So yes, the notification bells, making those and actually looking at them would be a way around it. I'm very grateful you use it, and I'm grateful you're here. You're here a lot, and I do appreciate it. I love talking to you guys. This is my social hour. I am fairly... I don't call it antisocial. Watch some of my latest videos, guys. But I am not. I don't need a whole lot of social time, especially with all the people. Like I want to talk about this random stuff. I want to have like long rants about things, and no one in my life really wants to do that with these topics. So this is my social time that I can get that stuff out, and I'm actually impressed that I've gotten through this. I am getting tired. This cold. Not really cold, I don't know, it's like a sinus thing, is really been rough, and it comes in like these waves, and I find, like, I don't know, you pick your battles, but I can't imagine the people who have headaches all the time. I've had a headache for at least a week, a low grade headache, and it's like one of those that just wears on you, and it comes and goes, but right now it's like kind of there, so it's harder to think, when you're doing that, when you have a headache. So yeah, I have respect for people who are working through discomfort and pain, which I feel like most people nowadays are dealing with that. I do a lot of praying for people and laying hands and different things. I'm in a Bible study in a church group, and we do that, and there's just so many people who need help and prayer, and God helps them, so you can always reach out if you need some prayer as well. Sickness is so rampant. We are eating processed foods. Like, our bodies weren't made to sit all day, to not, all of our jobs are now sitting jobs. Very rarely are you having, I really appreciate the people who do jobs that actually have to work and use their muscles, mostly men that are out there doing that, but the women that do it as well. We're not meant to be sitting all day. We're not meant to be sitting at a screen. When we do screen, you can get that screen sickness and stuff, which I have to leave and go outside and use my eyes and look far and wide and look at the bright lights outside in the sun, like the real light, versus like these overhead lights are really bad for you. So there's so many things that we're doing. We're not meant to just eat processed food. We're meant to actually get leucine with our protein, and the leucine isn't in our processed food. So basically you're eating a lot of protein, but even if you add protein powder to something, unless it's protein powder with high leucine, your body's not processing the protein. Like, there are things that we're not getting in our food that we're trying to get in supplements, but everything's marketed. So if you look at a supplement, if you even look at like a face product, most of the stuff that they put on it, say something says there's fenugreek in it, look at how little there's going to be in it. If there's a face product that says there's retinol, there's going to be so little amount, like they just want to put it for marketing. It's not actually an enough that it would be like useful. It's not a useful medication amount, right? And that's basically what you're getting with food. That's what you're getting with supplements. That's what you're getting. Like, you just can't trust anything. It's all just like this weird. So the free market is good in ways, but when we actually are able to find information, it's really important to search what you're doing and know that this is a actual real product that is doing what it says it is, rather than just the hype of it. Like if you look at like Rhode products, those are makeup brands, like those are basically just generic stuff when it says it has a certain amount of stuff. And if you look at actually the ingredient, like what is in it, there is not enough. If you ask a dermatologist, excuse me, what's in it, or like if that's, they would say that's not useful, that's just generic, they might as well be selling you nothing. Like and that's an expensive brand. So though you're seeing that with a lot of brands, that they're hyped for something, but they're not actually doing literally anything. And then of course, you know, you go to these dermatologists or cosmetologists, depending on like who you're going to, and they're telling you lies about things. They're telling you because they want to sell you things, so they're not actually telling you about the fillers you're putting in your face, about the fillers you're putting in your mouth, and actually the problems that are going to be happening in the future, the Botox, the issues that you're actually going to be having, that they see all the time. You're gonna have a heavy brow, you're gonna start looking like a Neanderthal, and you're gonna look like it, like you're gonna have the Botox face, and you can see it. There's so many women that have ruined their faces with Botox, and it's just basically because they've turned into the Neanderthal look. You've seen it. I know you've seen it. You want to be nice about it, but you see it. You can't not see it. Where their eyebrows are like this, and this is so heavy because they've atrophied their muscles. At the same time, they're atrophying the muscles that make their faces work, that actually keep them young, that actually keep their skin tight, because your muscles are the thing that is holding up your skin here. You're like cutting that out to do the facelifts. You're separating everything to do all these facelifts, especially early. Then you stretched out, you've used all the stretch, your skin will not stretch. It only has so much stretch in it. And the issue is that you're doing that to try to get rid of crepiness, not even the stuff that the Botox gets rid of. The Botox only gets rid of movement. I mean, I will talk about this to the end of the earth, because women are just buying into it. I don't know exactly, like even the GLPs, the, what is that, peptides and things, like they're not seeing what is actually the processes that are happening in your system, is why it's working, that is actually in a long term. You cannot sustain it unless you keep on it, and it actually will kill your metabolism, and it'll actually hurt your body. It hurts your skin. It hurts everything. Same with if you're saying, oh, I can get filler, but then I just can get a dissolver. Well, your hyaluronic acid dissolver is actually going to dissolve your natural hyaluronic acid as well as the filler. And so now your face is even more saggy and less like, what is the bouncy, like the light, like what is that, shiny? Like, I don't know, whatever that is. Luminescent, I don't know. You'll lose that. The moisture is gone. I mean, there's so much, because your skin, the way that light works on your skin, it goes into your skin and it bounces around and reflects back out, and that's what makes the luminescence and the light. So imagine when you're losing all that space, you've killed all of the things that it's reflecting off, all the molecules, all the water that it's reflecting, that is allowing it to be, then you're going to lose that luminescence and you're going to look older. It's just all of these things that they're doing to be younger and look younger for longer is just, it's ruining you in the long process, including all of these foods that we're taking in, and we're trying to do a healthy food, but because you're doing it in a way, you're actually becoming anemic. You're thinking that you have a lot of iodine or D3, and you're actually not getting it from any of your products anymore. And a lot of stuff that you're getting in your products are antibiotics and things. Like, I don't take antibiotics. I haven't taken antibiotics since I was in high school. No, probably like I was maybe 19, so I was probably in college the last time I took an antibiotic. And this is not me anti-antibiotics or anti-medicine. It's just when I use it, I want to make sure it works when I need it, right? And I haven't needed it, and my body has been able to have an immune system that will get over those things, probably because I'm not, making it immune to the things, the antibiotics that we would be using. So these are things that we know. We've always known it, but we just think in such short term. It's just these short term, not only attention spans, but short term. We want the quick benefits. We don't think of long term. When you do any sort of facial product, when you change any sort of eating habits, you have to let your whole body go through that whole system. I think, what is it, like 72 days for your skin to like breathe, like to go through a whole skin like shedding process. Like it's a long period of time, so you can't even see the new fresher skin for like 3 months, that even when you're doing everything correctly. Same like when you're exercising, you exercise, you're not going to see the results that same, well, sometimes you're, for a guy, that's why they do the sit-ups really quickly, because it will like make you look jacked for a minute, and it lasts for a little while after. But after that, like, you're not going to see the results. You're not going to see the weight loss. You're not going to see that right away. It takes time, to the point where you feel like nothing is happening, and then all of a sudden you get the whoosh that they call it, and it's like, and the fat, it turns from like a thicker fat to more of a jiggly fat. It's like these things that are happening that it takes time, and it's just like with everything, it's not going to be that I worked out and tomorrow I'm seeing the results, but I did work out and the results are happening now. It's like as soon as I did the workout, the changes are taking place, and it will be manifested. You will see the results eventually if you continue on that road. So I just feel like a lot of it, it's us willfully not looking into the process. I can't think of any other way, but people are being tricked into it, but we also have to not just believe someone because it sounds right, Like, you drink collagen and you think collagen's produced. That's not how it works. I don't drink a milkshake and produce a milkshake. I don't do it. And I get collagen is obviously a molecule, but still it's not a molecule that it is in itself. It's actually created from different chemical reactions to create the collagen in your skin. So you can introduce more of that stuff into your diet that will help create more collagen. As well as if you're using collagen or retinol or things on your face, you can do that, but you will have to continue to do it. It only has the effects as you continue to do it. And if you really are using retinol, you will have to use it for the rest of your life. I wouldn't suggest starting retinol. I'm not a dermatologist, but I just know that when I tried retinol for it was only like a month that I even, like, it wrecked my skin. I had nice skin, and it like ruined my skin. I was really disappointed, and it took like years for me to feel like my skin like got back to the youthful glow and appearance that I have, or that I at least liked. It really wrecked my skin barrier. Retinol is not something I would suggest to do at any young age. I know dermatologists, they think differently, but as a person who had decent skin and was just like, oh, let me try to, prevent something, it ruined my skin. It was awful. But, praise God, it got back, and I didn't take it for long, but it was, and I mean, I did it for long enough to try to get those effects, so it must have been more than a few months. I did, two at least of the things, so it must have been like, I don't remember, but I remember it took me a very long time to get my skin back to a place where I felt like I could just, go and not really wear makeup or anything, like I don't understand. Also, I think like we wear so much makeup, and that really hurts our skin. When you put all the makeup and all the stuff on it, even if it has like vitamins and stuff in it, I really feel like that is making your skin older. It's just all these things that are counterintuitive in a way, because you want to look younger for longer. And now guys are doing this stuff, and I don't know. But if you even look at Brian Johnson, he's even, and I was wondering if he was like being ironic, or if he was trying like to, I don't know like what exactly he was doing, but he did recently say that he might have taken the longevity thing a little too far, and now he's focused more on helping cure diseases versus longevity, which if you cure diseases, you have longevity. I mean, that's a logical, he's not unintelligent, and of course he knows that and believes that, but it's the longevity aspect, and that being the goal was, he felt short-sighted. Actually, that's funny. Funny word. I don't know if you got that play of words right there. The longevity was the short-sightedness of longevity thought process. Anyway, I'm tired, guys. So it felt funny in my head. Okay, so let me see. Let's look. Okay, now Davis course always get noted. Oh, sorry. Neb Neb. The U.S. has a pretty rough history of using tests for voting. In theory, it's a great idea, but in practice, we've used them to blatantly discriminate. Yeah. I mean, it's the thing. It's like, how much regulation do we want? But citizenship tests possibly aren't horrible. I don't know. Again, I'm not the person doing all of this, and like you said, I would have to look at research and see where it was done. Unlike Mondummy is doing, look at actual people who have tried to do these government-funded grocery stores and have failed, and figure out why that didn't work and that it won't work. That would be something I would have to do before I just change a whole system. Again, Chesterton fence, it's a big thing I'm really thinking about a lot. I'm researching him a lot. Let's see, and then Neb Neb, my point was an island to ourselves might not go as we'd imagine it would. Turns out real life is tough. Yeah, Neb Neb, that is a really great point. So Neb Neb, I took his whole thing wrong as more aspirational. No. So he's saying about the Lord of the Flies that it is not aspirational. It's actually a sign of what can go wrong because and I appreciate that. Thank you for clarifying it. That's much smarter than the way I took it. So thank you for that. That was good. That's why, because I was thinking, I was like, really? Because that seemed bad. It seemed like no one turned out well in the Lord of the Flies. But yeah, so I appreciate that, as it might not go as well as you'd imagine it would, because real life is tough. It is. Real life, it's not just that simple. And it's tough for everyone. It's tough for women. It's tough for men. It's tough. And we have to support each other rather than say that, oh, that person's having a tough time and that means my tough time doesn't matter. That's not how it works. You can acknowledge other people have a tough time and still you're in a tough time. I'm just not sure. It's not a competition. It shouldn't be. I don't want to be having a tough time. Alpha Omega, yes, the point of a filter is to discriminate. Discrimination is not inherently bad. It serves the intended purposes or not. If not, fix it. And I agree, Alpha Omega. It is, this is talking about the whether a citizen test or some sort of test for voting would be useful, and that it's been tried and in theory, but then they're used to discriminate and have the filter. And again, Alpha Omega is also making the point of, yes, the filters do discriminate, and sometimes that is not a bad thing depending on what you're trying to discriminate for, which is like the bad seeds, where like, oh, okay, using an ID to vote is a filter in some way. It's people can still get around that, when you use the ID for like tests, for college tests, apparently, you can circumvent that. So it's not a foolproof kind of system, but it is to filter out some of the cheating. So yes, there's a lot to this, and those are both valid points that I don't know a whole lot. And then Davis course, my social hours approaching 3 hours. I know. It is. I can do several hours. I don't know how. Some people have trouble finding what to say in a 3-hour live. That has never been my issue. I could use some better direction. It would be useful, having. That's why I like the chats, because you guys can reel me in a little better. I can use the reeling in. My brain goes all over. And then Neb Neb, if you're defining discrimination as to, they're continuing the discrimination as simply the filter, sure, which, that is a valid thing that I was saying as well. And then he says, if we could all agree on the intended purpose, then it would be easy, but obviously we don't. And any filter comes with an inherent set of values. And it's absolutely true. Who is the one that decides what the filter is? We have known that the current filters for most things right now, it's not meritocracy filters, it's some filters that have not created the best outcomes, and that's what we're dealing with. So that is absolutely valid. I mean, it is like when you take away agency and you put so much power into one space or one filter, it is based on that filter's viewpoints and intended use, as well as not being corrupted by, and we know that power tends to corrupt after time. It's just something that is human nature. It's not power in itself. It's a human inability to control, greed, and different things. That we all are selfish in that way, and that's why you need someone with high values and systems that have checks and balances, because we need checks and balances as humans. We definitely need some filters here, but right now some of our filters have been really detrimental. So I understand this debate, and I assume it's going to keep going after this. And then Driss Crab 269, do you know Scott Galloway? He's been spreading misinfo about GLP's increase health, and everyone should be on them. It's quite sad. I don't know Scott Galloway. Hi, Driss Crab. Hi. Nice to see you. He's a member of mine. Hello. Yeah, I don't know about him. I'm sure I've probably seen him, because I do look into this stuff, and I've seen people say things about, oh, it's actually healthy and all. And it's so weird, because you don't want to just call something fake news. You don't want to just call something misinformation. But right now, most of the stuff we do get is misinformation. Don't just believe stuff that I say. This is stuff that I'm hearing. This is stuff that I've accumulated in my brain over time, these patterns that I'm understanding. But research it on your own and look at lots of sources, and you'll find that all the sources that you'll find some sort of truth that starts to come out from this. So don't just believe me blindly either, right? Frozen Duckling, my friend who worships Spider-Man games and movies, said it sucked. Really? So that's interesting, because what I did, hello Frozen Duckling, I don't recall your name, so I think you're new. So the Spider-Man, I heard that a lot of the scenes were exactly like some of the games. So what I find that interesting, that your friend, I assume it's a man, that's me being gender biased here, but I'm assuming he is a guy, but you say my friend, and he said it sucked. A lot of people were really enjoying the action scenes. Some of the stuff that I heard, some of the negative stuff, was that it was too packed. Another thing that I've heard was that there was not enough just Spider-Man versus everyone else, and that seems valid if you're a big fan of that, especially the games and movies. And I don't know how he feels about Tom Holland or any of that, so it could also be like a preference or of MJ, or those sort of what's happened with that. But what I'm also hearing a lot is that there's a lot of teen angst vibes in it. So I, again, have not watched it, so this is not anything that I really know for sure, and no major spoiler here, but apparently it's a movie that some people have said it's very Gen Z coded in that way, that there's a lot of stuff that isn't needed in that sense. Also, some of the extra characters, I guess, were not needed, or some people have been not happy with some of the way that the characters were depicted. Again, this is me not being the superhero Spider-Man person, but hearing what other people are saying. So it is interesting that your friend didn't like it, because I felt like some of the positive things that I was hearing was the action scenes, and how the webs, the casting, but also how they were using the webs differently, as well as some of the swinging and things were, and the point of view that they were doing it was very much like the games, and that was very good, and the action scenes were very good. But again, if the action scenes are great and all that stuff is great, but the rest of the movie is like losing you and it's just too much, then you can see how that would be disappointing. And if he says it sucked, that's not like it's kind of okay view. And to be like a huge fan, I can understand fans are going to be more picky, and that's tricky. I didn't mean to rhyme. But if there was something like, say, Buffy comes back, or Gossip Girl, when they did the reboot of Gossip Girl, so this is one that I was a big fan of, Gossip Girl, and they did it wasn't a reboot, they took the name Gossip Girl and just didn't do anything with it, and it sucked. I think it would have been difficult for them to bring it back in any form, because of how much I enjoyed it and enjoyed the wrap up and all of this. So trying to bring it back in itself was going to be risky for a true fan. But the way that they did it, and it did not have any any connection with it. None of the connection with even what Gossip Girl was. Like, it was suddenly teachers are like being Gossip Girl. Like, this is like predatory at that level. I mean, there was some weird stuff. It was disgusting, actually. It was a disgusting show. HBO Max did that with Sex and the City. Was already a pretty, you know, bad show in a lot of ways, but I did grow up with that as, you know, in my 20s and stuff, so I that was a show I liked. Yeah, when they rebooted that to like just like it's disgusting, and it ruined it. Like, Carrie Bradshaw was already problematic and kind of awful, but it ruined it. And like, even it was disgusting, and I felt that with Gossip Girl. It was disgusting, the stuff that they brought in, and I was grossed out most of the time. And not just by like morally grossed out, like just some of the, it's like, I don't need to see this. Like, what is this? Stop it. Yeah, and so I kind of understand if you're, same with Harry Potter. If you were a big fan, I was never a Harry Potter fan. My sister was, my little sister was all into the books and all of that. You know, you're going to, she loves them. She still reads them like every night. She like reads them, and she has like Spanish versions and things. So she's a Harry Potter fan, and she likes the movies, but obviously there's pieces and things, and even like the TV show, which she really hasn't, you know, connected with. But you're going to have that issue with the super fans, and that is one thing. You cannot please everyone, and we do understand that. But to have someone who says that it sucked, that really worships it, it's heartbreaking to see that. I know there's a lot of reviews that are more honest about this than some of the stuff, but I do wonder. I haven't seen you respond, so maybe you thought wasn't ever going to get to you. It's fair. Probably left by now. But I would be interested in seeing like why it sucked, without like spoilers or anything. And I don't want to spoil it for someone who really wants to see it. As far as I know, it's one of the better, less political, still has some stuff, and than most of the movies that have come out. So that's why I want to appreciate it for that reason. And it's disappointing that someone was really upset with that. I know that I can't watch it because anything with Zendaya in it, I just can't do it. I just can't. Like, so I would just not enjoy it, I am sure. For many reasons. I'm not an action person. It's stressful. Like, it's too stressful. I could probably enjoy it if I knew the whole story and saw the end and stuff, and then I understood what happened. Well, if the ending's good. If it's a bad ending, then it's like, oh, well, at least I didn't watch it. Like, waste my time. But yeah, so I'm not obviously the demo for that group of movies, but that is, I do wonder why, especially because you say games as well. And I feel like the games were what a lot of people really liked, that it was true to some of those. So I wonder if it was just true in some of the action scenes, but maybe some of what it followed wasn't true, or if it really was that it wasn't as much just a Spider-Man movie, but like a promotion for another movie coming up. That's what, I don't know. It seems like there are mixed reviews there. Excuse me. Okay. Let's see. And then Alpha Omega is talking with Neb Neb again. Oh, good night, Neb Neb. Bye. Bye. You said bedtime. That was probably like 20 minutes ago, so bye. But yeah, so Neb Neb and Alpha Omega are still having the discussion. At one point, while I was talking about the filter would be to discriminate those who understand the system of government and those who don't. And that's what my thought is, Alpha Omega. To the extent it doesn't serve that purpose, it is flawed, and I would agree with that as well. So I think that you guys are agreeing with the similar, you guys agree, but it's also like whether it could work or not, and who's in charge of this filter. But yes, the discrimination factor would be through those who understand the government and those who don't, and that sounds right. You know, again, this is all theory, and in practice and how we actually implement it. You know, if we have systems that even look a little like they can be rigged, if they have any leeway for rigging, likely they will be rigged. Human nature here is not good. We are not inherently good. We have to work to be good. That is a fact. Okay, so, and then Neb Neb, he can't continue, but do I see, because he's going to sleep, but do I see voting as a right or a privilege? So a filter like that treats it as a privilege, and I see it more of as a human right. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question because he adds, I used to work with special needs adults and they were allowed to vote, and I was glad of it, even if they had people in their life telling them who to vote for. Um, and then Nebnev says, but who was elected deeply affected their lives. Um, and I mean, it is the thing that I think conscionable, like people with consciences, like adults that are thinking about this, and there are them in the government. I think I've said it before. I use Pat's word. We're in a Potemkin village of democracy here right now, but there are people in there that do have good intentions. It's just few and far between, and you have to really put people who are intelligent, who are thinking, and who will have to actually do what leaders have to do and make hard decisions. And some people will be left out of the process. And that's, again, the greater good for the most amount of people for the most amount of time. Leaders don't have an easy job to figure out what that means. You want them to want the best for everyone, and like Nebnev says, who is elected deeply affected their lives. So it's nice that they would have the ability to vote. But if someone's telling them to vote, vote harvesting, that happens often. People come to your door, they pretend like they're gonna help you, and then they just cast a vote how they want for their own agendas, is usually what tends to happen there. If you don't have the agency to do it, I don't know. It's complicated, and I really appreciate that discussion and that understanding. I guess my thought is, if they don't understand what choices they're making, should they be making those choices for other people in a voting process? I don't know how large this group of, there's so much to it. It's complicated. I haven't sat here and thought about it too long. I am still of the understanding, if you have to do a test and a course to drive, that you should do at minimum something like that to vote. It seems like that would be a bare minimum just to get your voter ID, that you should have to do a quick course about the US government. And I feel like if you're able to do that course and pass it, maybe that is a layer. Again, you do that to get your driver's license, so it's not something that we don't know how to implement courses for access to things or different things. So I don't know. You have to do a citizenship test. People have to learn how to do basic English. I've never done a citizenship test. My stepmom did. Well, I don't know if my stepmom. She's a citizen now. She married my dad. I don't know how that works to her being naturalized. So yeah, I'm not sure, but I know that many people, you have to learn English to be able to do the citizenship test. You have to learn about a lot of stuff to be a citizen, and then you get the rights. But if you're born, you get into the country, and this is not the birthright law stuff, but actually like an American citizen born from in there. Are those people, they have inalienable rights as humans and through our Constitution. So yeah, voting is different than a driving right. But, as far as human rights, but driving is a danger to other people if you're bad at it and you don't know the rules. So voting is as well. So there's a detriment when you don't understand the system that you're voting for. So is it just, I don't know. I mean, again, this is me just going through the thoughts. I don't have an answer, and I see both sides. I do very much see both sides. Anyway, bedtime. Bye. I think I said bye to you already, Neb. And then Davis Core says, like, you have the right idea. Chris Moore says, anytime you want to chat, thank you. I just hopped on here, and I appreciate you guys, the late nighters. It's almost midnight. I feel like it's about to turn midnight. All my lights will turn off. I think they're scheduled to turn off at midnight. I did keep the desk light and the green light. Oh, there it is. So one of my lights turned off. That's how it works. So I will be going to bed, or not going to bed, but I will be wrapping this up soon. I have been doing this for about 3 hours. But I did just kind of hop on here. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I really appreciate all of you. Alpha Omega, voting is absolutely a privilege. Universal suffrage is a mistake. It is not a human right. It is a duty of those who are capable and have a stake in the system. And then people who do not understand the choice have no right to decide it for others. I mean, these are all valid points, everyone. I do see those points. It is a complicated discussion that is worth having. A debate that I can mediate more than I can input so much. I, again, have not researched and thought about all the implications. You know, you can say something and it sounds nice, but then you do have to look at these implications, what the cost will be in these situations, and what is an inalienable human right. Inalienable. I know the Constitution. My brain hurts. But these are real questions. A lot of people think that women should never have gotten the right to vote. I feel like women are not voting very well. I feel like women are going down the wrong path. I think we've been manipulated, we've been brainwashed, and I think we're making really poor choices as a whole. And so, yeah, I sit in there when people are like, yeah, women shouldn't be voting. I'm kind of like, okay, I agree. But, you know, in practice, is that something that makes full sense? I don't think so. At least, you know, I'm a woman, so I'm likely biased here. Do I know that if there was a test, I could fail it? Or if it was like a requirement to have, say, own property in order to vote, like something, have a stake in something, you know, and I would lose that, you know, that is something I would be willing to sacrifice if I thought it was really for the better. But again, who is the one choosing, and who, you know, it's all so complicated, and obviously not every woman is bad. I think as a majority, women are the vocal women are absolutely delusional and crazy and should not be voting. But, you know, I think there is a silent majority of women that are actually not crazy and maybe could vote for something positive to society, right? Like, I don't think I would vote poorly or anything, but at the same time, it's just a really complicated topic. And I know a lot of people do believe that women shouldn't have a right to vote. And I feel like there is something in the system that is actually creating that. I believe feminists and, you know, a lot of people who are promoting communism and all those things, they call it socialism, but that was what it will turn into. I think those people don't want women to vote. That's their goal. But they don't want many people to vote. They just want to be in charge and not have voting. So, slippery slope when you start taking away those rights. Like, so you have to think about that. There's a lot of people in the government that have infiltrated, that have a lot of power and place, that are able to hurt a lot of people if they're just given all the power. So, you know, I pray for New York. I pray for them. Okay, so, and then Chris Moore, voting is a privilege, it should never be considered a right. And that's a valid point. That's what I was debating. It seems like, you know, you should learn what you're voting for. Which then, if you have to learn, does that become a right? It should be accessible. You know, I definitely think it's a right to be accessed, accessible, right? But maybe there is the layer, the filter again. I would lean more on that sort of side of the Alpha Omega, Chris Moore, what you're saying. But I also absolutely understand, Davis Course and Neb, what you guys are saying. Yeah, this is why I'm not making these decisions, guys. But I'm trying to be informed, so I do appreciate you guys having this discussion and being really not just intelligent about it, but being gracious and having mercy for each other through the debate, you know, being able to debate something very serious, which you have very strong opinions about, and to be able to say the strong opinions and be able to respect that this is a discussion, and you're respecting each other. A lot of people don't know how to do that. I really love the social behavior we're having in our chat. Thank you, everybody. That was I really do appreciate all of this. So it is now midnight. My light has turned off. It is telling me it's time to go. I don't know that you guys can tell as much that the light turned off. I can. But I am tired. I've made it 3 hours. That's usually my goal, is to try to get over 2 hours, and then if I get to 3, that's good. I don't know how much of this I'll be able to cut into a VOD. I still have to do, that's video on demand, so it's like my brain saying like VOD, like you know what that means. So, you know, I'm still working. I have like a 25-minute clip from my last isolation crisis issue, that I think the loneliness is not an epidemic. I think it's an isolation psyop. I think we're being isolated and separated on purpose. I have a little piece of that I've cut out to somewhat make a cohesive video from, and so I still have to edit that up and then throw that on there. And I think I have maybe 2 more from that. It's one about jobs. Someone had asked about how to apply for jobs nowadays and with the system, and I gave some advice about that. So I have that one, and then I have this beauty thing, which I tend to have like every live I go into some topic really quickly about Botox or fillers. So I have a beauty section about that as well, that I might be posting. And then I still have another video that is about how AI thinks you're like too smart. Are you too smart for AI? Does AI hate you because you're smart? Something like that was the live. It's again 3 hours, and I try to cut them up into some cohesive video for people who not only don't get to the lives, but you know, there's a lot of concepts that I think get talked about later in different times, and it's just nice to cut them up in a different way. And I do want to do that with that, so I don't know how quickly I will be able to get this one done, but I'm also doing extra research on the escape and the trap, and that specifically, I wonder what if I have that up here. Let me see. It's funny, I still have that up. I don't know why I still have that over here. Okay, so the established concepts that I'm researching, just for everyone's fun, and this is mostly for my fun, but I'm researching the Uncanny Valley, which I have already done the research on. I have a whole video on Uncanny Valley. It's called The AI Empathy Bubble Has Burst, something like that. It's a video about that, and that goes deep into the Uncanny Valley. So I've done that research, and this is what this major concept of the trap and the escape series, the next series I'm doing after the one-eyed King and Land of the Blind, that I did a whole lot of research on and development for like 8 months to come and do that series. So then this one, I'm also going to do the gnosis versus information. So that's a core concept that appears in multiple spots, but it's information versus knowing. The whole reason why AI really can't, the LLM, the large language models, are not really AI. They don't have intelligence. They can't take the information and turn it into wisdom. And unless they get some way to transmit that connection to completely change that thing into a whole different thing, then, you know, it will never be gnosis, which is the knowing. So that's GNOSIS. So that is something that I am just looking into. And then the disgust threshold, which is a desensitization ploy. It happens in a lot of cults and brainwashing, and it's happening in Hollywood. It's happening in everything. Same with, like, I'm showing you about the Gossip Girl stuff. It's disgusting, and they don't see it's disgusting anymore. Disparu has a really good video about that. I have it in my posts and community posts. It's actually a video about Supergirl, and it's toward the end, but he discusses this theory that is I'm actually doing research on now about the disgust threshold through political parties, but how they need a certain level of disgust now in Hollywood because they're so desensitized, and normal people are still disgusted by the lesser disgust level, and so it's like this disconnect where we're completely disgusted by the stuff that's coming out, and they can't even feel anything from it. It has to get worse and worse and worse because of their threshold. And it's a very interesting concept. And then I'm looking into persuasion bombing, which I have a video about that. That's the AI smarter one. Is AI hate that you're smart or whatever. That video, I do discuss it a little. That's alive. And I do discuss that a little bit, but I'm going to research it even more. So I've done a little research on that. But persuasion bombing, which does happen in AI often, it's basically just a manipulation tactic. It's a rhetorical tactic that's been used since the dawn of time. And so I'm going to get into that research. I'm also going to be doing research on pattern versus plot, which is a whole concept. I'll get into exactly what that is. Evidence versus proof and those things, because I felt like that was really important. Spencer Pratt brought that to my attention, because I'll say, oh, this is proof of this. No, it's evidence toward this. And very little is we have proof of something. Most scientific discoveries are evidence towards something. It's very rarely that we have proof of these theories, right? And so it's the use of the word and being precise about evidence versus proof. So I'm looking into that a little more and some theories on that. And then Brandolini's law, I'm looking into as Festinger, which is the failed prophecy versus the cognitive dissonance aspect of the Festinger. And that's a whole different thing. And then Kuhn's paradigm theory I'm getting into, Semmelweis reflex, the Chesterton fence, which that's one I've been researching really recently. And then the inverted Columbo, which I find actually fascinating, and so that's actually one I'm probably going to do next. And then the Overton window, as well as the sunk cost fallacy, and Max Planck's principle, which is one funeral at a time, and then the Schopenhauer's 3 stages. As a bonus, the LLM is not AI, which is outside my research, but it's a synthesized thought. So anyway, that's my building blocks of my trap versus the escape theory, that I'm doing all of this research to create a series that it might be 2 parts, but knowing me, it will be more. I'm hoping it will be the trap and the escape, but it's synthesizing these 16 concepts that I have been researching slightly, but I'm going to now go into depth on, and it's going to synthesize those into this series about where we are in the world with propaganda, with indoctrination, with mass media, with the AIs, with all the systems, and how to escape it. And it's based on a lot of concept that Chase Hughes talks about, as far as if you look into one video I have these all on my posts, most of them, but it's Chase Hughes doing the Truman Show comparison, and how we are in a Truman Show, and it's so fascinating if you watch the Truman Show ever, and how he relates to that and what we're in. And a big concept of that is that most of the time you are trapped without a cage, right? Like, you are being controlled, and they don't have to do anything. They don't have to put a cage into you, or put you in a cage. It's like you're trapped by the circumstance, the situation. You're comfortable, and they make you comfortable, and the second you start to get uncomfortable, you start to question, you want to get out. There's no locks on the door. Once you actually try to get out, that's when the force happens against you. And that's what we're starting to see. We're seeing people fight back against that machine. We're seeing people fight back against these crazy mainstream views, the media, that's all propaganda. We're seeing that, and we're now seeing the rapid force and the violence against the thing, where as long as you were sitting pretty, not saying anything, you were just living in the trap, they didn't lock the doors. But now they're fighting, and now it's violence against you, and that's what we're seeing. So that is a really interesting concept, and he really is very intelligent, and I would recommend that video, as well as I have a playlist that it's a 300 plus videos, and I basically just add, it's called Elena's watch list or something. It's none of my videos. It's real people who have talent, and you go on there and do stuff, like YouTubers and different things, and it's just what I'm watching a lot of times. Things that I come up with that I talk to you about, I'll see over there, and I'll put it on this watch list. So if you ever just want to see what I'm watching, I put all that stuff, so you'll see what's in my mind. What I'm really been watching a lot is the Odyssey stuff, and the Spider-Man and all of that recently, but you'll be able to watch that, and a lot of times when I reference stuff, it'll be in that list as well. So you can always go and look at that. It's just a playlist, but I do try to add to that. And then again, I had the X account, which is not new. I've had it for since 2009 probably, and I just haven't posted on it since 2019 possibly, but I don't even have any posts left on it. I think I have, my last post was a decade ago that is up there. So literally I'm just re-emerging on X, And it's fine. I actually am interested in it because I wanted to start researching Grok. I've researched very heavily Claude. I've researched very heavily ChatGPT. I researched very heavily a lot of the generators for audio versus so whether you're using like the 11 Labs type of stuff, which you can use like the Seedscape and all of that, Seedance and everything, versus like if you want to use the Grok or any of that in an image systems and all of those. So it's literally there, 20, 30 different AI visual systems that I've been doing research and using regularly, image development as well as the language model systems. So I'm doing that, but I realized that I really have not engaged with Grok on an LLM level or on an algorithm level. As far as discovery goes, I am very pleased so far with what I've been experiencing on X as far as how the algorithm does allow discoverability, what I'm seeing in my feed, what it's showing me from what I'm actually subscribed to, which I have a lot of people I subscribe to that I just haven't gone through it. Again, I haven't used it in 10 years, so I've re-added or I've added some people, some new people, but I haven't gone through and just deleted all the people that I used to follow. So that's something that's this process. But I am really enjoying the algorithm and the AI and Grok. I find it interesting how it's incorporated. People can ask a specific thing and it will answer in the thread. I find that interesting not only for engagement purposes as a creator or someone, but just as a system. I find that pretty fascinating how it's set up, and I really have enjoyed that, and some of the stuff that's been going on in that ecosystem. But I do feel like the discovery, because I have researched heavily the discovery and practiced and used the discovery on different spaces like YouTube, which is broken. YouTube is a horrible algorithm. I cannot express how horrible YouTube's algorithm is, how broken it is, how crappy it is. It's absolutely the worst thing that I've experienced in a very long time for AI. It is worse by the day, and then it has like a moment, but basically YouTube's is broken. It's rigged or it's broken. Either way, it is completely effed. If I cursed, this would be a way. I would say I would curse right there, but I don't. So yeah, YouTube is absolute crap at this point. The algorithm and its system, the discoverability aspect of it, it's absolute garbage. And so having experienced that and going to X, I actually feel refreshed. It's shocking how different it feels. Now again, this is just from the simple start, right? But it's something, in my opinion. That's a big feeling. It's a different feeling. It's the same. Like, I've done a whole lot of research on Google search and Google AI search, like Gemini versus the Notebook, which it's not called Notebook anymore. But the Gemini, I've done a lot of Gemini research and using and different things for years, all of these things, and I've been using the DuckDuckGo, not like I use DuckDuckGo for like actual search intent, but then there's an AI version of DuckDuckGo, which is a little more private, and you can use you can choose your AI that you want to use, and so I've done a lot of little research on that. I'm starting to fill that, but that's when I decided I really needed to learn Grok. And I need to get into that system, and I'm really impressed. Again, nothing's perfect, but I am really excited about what I'm experiencing on X. So I will try to be posting on it a little more, and try to. You can go over there. The posts that I'm doing are basically just like little clips from these lives and these video on demands. Generally, just some text that I write, and or I don't tend to do a lot of reaction stuff, but I did see something about. Some woman who was a comedian, I guess, who was just bashing men, because apparently you just have to bash men all the time. Like, you can't just succeed or be successful or enjoy. It's got to be like, she said something basically like the first line in the post. It was a variety post, but it was an interview with her, and it was basically like male comedians are the worst people. So yeah, just divide and conquer, right? Just beat men. Just keep telling them how crappy they are. That's gonna help. It's gonna help the world. Women, stop. Oh well. Okay, so then Chris Moore, good night. And then Plato's Cave. Alpha Omega. What am I describing that's Plato's Cave? I was saying a lot. I should have read that sooner. I should have read it sooner. I should have read it sooner. I will look into what Plato's Cave is. Can I Google it? Plato's Cave. Let's look at it. And also, I need to stop saying Google. It's like not even my search engine. The allegory of the cave. Yeah. Okay, yes. Yeah, because they were seeing, this is something, yes, the Plato's Cave. And Chase Hughes is actually someone who was telling me about it. Telling me. he was chatting. I don't know him. I was watching a video, and so that's where I learned about it. But yes, I was talking about the Plato's Cave, which was talking about how they were seeing lights. And anyway, I'll get into it, but basically, it was a Greek philosopher, obviously Plato, the effect of education and the lack of it on our nature. Let's see if I can have some summary. So it's a metaphor for the journey from ignorance to enlightenment, exploring the nature of reality, knowledge, and perception, and describes prisoners in a cave that were mistaking the shadows for illusions of as reality. Shadows that were being on there, they thought it was reality of what they were seeing. And the intellectual journey was basically like learning, like if the one prisoner learned that it was okay, like everything was good, and they come back and tell them that it's safe and all of that, like no one would believe them. So there was a lot to it. But then if someone comes, so like trying to tell people and share the truth knowledge, people are comfortable in their ignorance. So that is the way that I was able to kind of summarize that poorly, but the summary that it gave me was way too long. I didn't want to read it all. But that is what I gathered from it. Chase Hughes has, I think it was the Truman Show video that might have gone into that. Like, it was a great video. I highly recommend it. It's on my post feed. If you go to my post, scroll down. I do have it there. And I have it somewhere in the 300 video playlist. It wasn't one that I watched like recently because I am insomniac sometimes, often, and so in the middle of the night I did post like a bunch of them, and so I basically went to all my subscriptions and I just put like a bunch of the videos that I remembered that I liked. So I did that, and there was about 300 of those, and then now it's gone by like most recently added. So since then, and you can probably see where I had like chunks from different subscriptions, some different channels. And since then, I've been adding just as I go. So that's where it's probably in there, but that one definitely is in my post. But that's how I do that. I don't know why that was so hard to describe. It's rough. Okay, everybody, I am going to go. But I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you being there. Thank you, everyone that has supported. And thank you for being patient with me trying to figure out all of this live streaming and how to do this, and understanding that this is not my job. I'm not a pro trying to get a bunch of followers. I really just want to have discourse. I want to have real conversations with you guys. I want to know what you're thinking, and I want to have I want to learn. I want to have more connection with people with these thoughts, with like-minded conversations that are hard conversations, even like the voting conversation, with people who are wanting to make it better, who understand that there is a problem and maybe have different ideas of what the solution is, but we all agree on the same problems, right? And I think that is really important. So I thank you all for being here. I don't know how the end stream works on this app, but I am going to try to press end and we're going to see what happens. But usually I have to like press end a whole bunch and like turn off my screen and stuff for it to actually stop. So goodbye, everybody. Thank you for being here, and follow me on all those places if you want to see kind of what I'm doing. If I get a chance to do it, I will post some places, but sometimes I just don't. I don't know. It happens. So we'll see.